Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry. The master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Look into the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. We are on episode number 119. As always, you can check this podcast out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes. If you're on iTunes, please rate, subscribe, and leave a review. You can also listen to us on Spotify. You can check us out on social media. We have the Dojo Talk Podcast Instagram page, as well as the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook group. And you can follow me on Twitter at Serial Sensei and send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Now that we got the intros out the way, to provide some context for this episode, UFC on ESPN+1 literally just ended about 25 minutes ago. It is currently 1:11 a.m. in the morning. We did some rearranging in the dojo, as the Anti-Cool told you guys probably about 4 or 5 episodes in a row. He would not be here to cover this card, and he is not here. But you know, we have a substitute teacher. I drag Joey in the dojo when I need him, and he's here. So me and Joey are gonna tackle this card that we all just, this historic moment for the UFC, being on ESPN. So I dragged Joey in here. Thank you for being forcefully dragged and not fighting against the program.
No, I'm cool with it. We got dumber, but we got better looking, so it all works out. The Anacle's not here. He's a big parks guy. He likes to be out in nature. I heard a rumor that he went out and was attacked by mountain lions. We haven't confirmed his return yet. Last I heard, he escaped via hot air balloon, so he could be floating around the Carolinas potentially right now. He should be back next week, though. So you got me.
This connects the dots because one of his last Twitter posts was him. I guess he accidentally broke his heavy bag, so I guess he was training to fight. That's what was going on. Man,
what if he's flying to Mayweather headquarters to take your fight?
Oh no, he can't do that. No, that's for me.
Can't just be stealing fights. I know. He's that kind of guy.
But you know what? He probably would have every right to, because boy, did I not train today. I came home from work and I ate some Little Caesars pizza.
That's good. That's just carbs you got to burn off.
So maybe he deserved that fight. I'm definitely I have not been cutting weight as of late.
Well, we just learned tonight, cutting weight, not a good thing.
Yeah, not at all. But so yeah, this podcast going to be a bit of different format. Some of these formalities we're just going to skip because it's kind of late. I think it's pretty late in the, I don't know if you call it day, night. I don't know what it is anymore. But I do, in preparation for this podcast, I actually did not foresee me recording with anybody. I thought I was going to be by myself. So I took a gang of notes because we actually haven't recorded since like the first week of January, something like that. So there have been a lot of fight announcements since the last time we recorded our award show and now. So I'm going to run through this slew of fights that I have listed.
Now, should I shut up and let you do roll call, or are you going to be like, talk about this fight? Like, what is my, as you can tell, we did a whole lot of prep.
Yeah. I'm going to eventually have to take a break through some of these, because this is a lot. Like, I have UFC fights listed, I have Bellator listed, and then I have a couple of just miscellaneous ones. All right, you know what? I'm going to try to speed run through these, and then we'll go back and maybe talk about like one or two of them.
Sure.
Because some of them I think we've already kind of talked about before when they were just like rumors, and then we'll wing it from there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so starting from the top, one of the biggest fights that got announced. I think we mentioned this before, but now it's like official. Justin Gaethje versus Edson Barboza, I believe, is going down on UFC on ESPN+2. Darren Till and Jorge Masvidal, and then also Leon Edwards versus Gunnar Nelson. Both of those fights will be at UFC London. UFC 237, we will have Rose Namajunas. She will be back defending her title against Jessica Andrade. And then UFC Wichita has like 80 fights announced, some of which include Junior Dos Santos and Derek Lewis, Zaleski Dos Santos and Curtis Millender, Anthony Rocco Martin versus Sergio Moraes, Beneil Dariush versus Drew Dober, Tim Bosch versus Amari Akhmedov, Marion Renault versus Yana Kunitskaya, Daniel Spitz versus Jeff Hughes. Then at UFC Prague, we have Daniel Tamor versus Chris Fishgold. Also at UFC Prague, I don't know if this fight is official, but I wrote it down. I think it's like a rumor, but Petr Yan, he signed a new contract, a new extension, and allegedly, I believe his next fight is supposed to be John Dodson, but I can't remember if that's official or not.
Official.
We'll just say it's official.
It's official.
Okay, all right. So that'll be going down at UFC Prague. At UFC Fight Night, Fortaleza, if I'm saying that right, Charles DuBronx Oliveira will be fighting David Tamor. At UFC 234, we have Ronnie Yaha and Ricky Simon, and we also have Lando Venata versus Marcos Mariano. Also on UFC on ESPN2, Michelle Waterson versus Karolina Kovalevich. At UFC 235, we have Poliana Viana versus Hannah Cyphers, and also Thomas Almeida versus Marlon Vera. That should be an awesome fight. UFC on ESPN for their March 30th event, we'll have Alexa Grasso versus Marina Rodriguez. And the last fight I have, which just got made official, I don't know if that was today or yesterday, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Anthony Pettis. That is an official fight. I thought it was funny when they announced it and like during the broadcast, because they're like, this was the fight that the fans wanted. And I was like, I don't know if the fans wanted it. I think just those two wanted it, and we just kind of said, all right, whatever. I guess. You know, that's the thing. So that's all I have for UFC fights, but the list continues. Moving on to Bellator announcements. We got Logan Storley versus Ion Pascu, Eric Silver versus Yaroslav Amosov. At Bellator 217, we have Sinadad Kavanaugh and Olga Rubin. Headlining the Bellator 217 card will be James Gallagher versus Stephen Graham. This next fight, I don't have the event, but AJ, God, I'm going to butcher this name, AJ Agazarm, who I mentioned on this podcast, I don't know how many episodes ago. I think he is a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I think he won like a IBFFJ. I'm probably saying that wrong too. You guys know the tournament. He won one of those a while back, but he will be making his debut against Jesse Roberts. And Bellator has signed University of Missouri wrestler Johnny Eblin to a contract. He is currently 4-0. I want to say he's a middleweight. I didn't write that down, so don't quote me. But, you know, keep an eye out on that. And unfortunately, Rafael Lovato Jr. was pulled from Bellator 214. You know, Gegard got injured. I guess they didn't find a replacement, so that fight is just, you know, no longer a thing. And the last few fights I have listed, Vanessa Porto and Pearl Gonzalez will be fighting for the vacant flyweight title at Invicta FC 34. At Cage Warriors 102, we'll have a middleweight title fight between James Webb. I'm going to guess this is Thomas Robertson because I spelt it Toas, Thoas. I don't think that's a real name. So there's probably an M in there.
It's 130. It's like 130, guys.
And at Cage Warriors 170, interim welterweight title between Nicholas Dalby and Alex Lohor, if I'm saying that correct. And the last fight I have is a middleweight title fight between Brendan Allen and Moses Murrieta at LFA 61. Hope that wasn't an LFA card that happened like the other day.
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
No, because it was a different guy who everybody wants the UFC to sign. I just can't remember his name.
Okay. All right, so those are the fight announcements for the week and such. I guess to go back real quick to piggyback just off of some of these, guess just like quick thoughts. How do you feel about Darren Till and Masvidal?
So, like, when you first brought when it was first announced, I was pretty sure that this was like a nice little rebound fight for Darren Till. This is a guy, Jorge Masvidal, who gives up rounds willingly and frequently. And he's a natural lightweight. And Darren Till's probably a dude who could fight upwards of 190 plus on fight night. So I thought pretty easy Till. But I'm kind of thinking of some of the stuff the Annikel has said in the past about Darren Till that finally sort of started to get exposed a little bit, primarily his inability to fight when someone fights forward on him. Primarily his inability to really be able to counter that well. So, I don't know. I'm still going Till. I think his upside is too high, and I think Masvidal, I mean, like, when's the last time Jorge Masvidal fought? I couldn't even, like, tell you off the top of my head. I want to say it was, like, November of 2017. So, I don't even know what we're going to get out of Masvidal. I'm comfortably saying Till, but I could see Masvidal getting inside on him and busting him up. And always worry about a guy's chin after he gets dropped the way that Till got dropped, so...
I feel like I feel about that fight the same way I feel about Wonderboy versus Pettis. Like, in theory, the bigger guy should win.
Right.
But some of their flaws are just so out there that it's like, I can see you somehow losing this fight. I can picture it in my head. Till should win. Right. By skill set, by size, like everything points that Till should win this fight. But there's a small part of me that just thinks, you know what, he might drop this one. But then, like, the same way, I can see it. But like with Masvidal, like you said, like he is a really talented fighter. But there's sometimes I think he loses fights that he should win for one reason or another. So I don't know. It's almost like who's gonna have the worst misfortune.
Who's going to be dumb at what precise moment?
Yeah. I think the only thing... I think Masvidal could tag him up, but I think the only thing that's kind of making me lean more towards Till is that size, and that I think if he could catch if he actually throws a punch, because his output is another... that's another Till thing. But if he can catch him a good, clean time, I think he could put him away.
I can absolutely see Darren Till coming forward heavy on his lead leg and Jorge Masvidal leaping in with something and dropping him. Just see it because of the way he fights and the fact that Masvidal, every once in a while, for brief glimpses of time, remembers he's in a pro fight. And he'll just be like, oh, fuck, I got to throw punches now. And, like, I can just see Till inviting him in and then getting it and then not wanting it. So it's kind of a tricky fight. It's intriguing. And I think when combined with Leon Edwards versus Gunnar Nelson, that's a pretty good 1-2 combination in terms of, like, big fights, quote unquote.
Yeah, and I like the Edwards and Nelson fight. I like Edwards, but I do worry about this fight for him. I feel like this fight goes as well as it can for him until that very first time he gets taken down.
Right, I could see that. Totally.
Yeah. And then it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how he gets out of that. But I think it's a good matchup.
They're evenly matched, and I kind of think they're both kind of in the same spot in the division, and I'm cool with it. I can't root against that. I can't root for somebody who beat Cowboy Oliveira, though, so.
Yeah.
I'll be on the Leon Edwards train for that.
Gaethje Barboza. Lots of incoming violence.
Yeah, like Anna Cool and I had discussed. He's here in spirit, folks. The two best leg kickers in the division. And I still wonder about Edson Barboza. Like, Edson Barboza, if you think about it, fought Khabib and then Kevin Lee in, like, the same calendar year. Like, December to December. He fought both of those guys and took a lot of damage. So I know he held up pretty well against, almost said TJ Hooker, against Dan Hooker. That'd be a fucking fight. Against Dan Hooker. But I always worry about Barboza. And if this fight goes beyond 2 rounds, I think it's Gaethje's fight. Just because that's the kind of fight he's going to want, and that's the kind of fight that Barboza's going to want to avoid. And I think Gaethje I think he's deceptively smart as a fighter, and I don't think he's going to have a lot of problems cutting off the space that Barboza is going to need to throw some of those funky techniques.
Yeah. This fight is really hard for me to pick, but if I think it's coming down for me is who do I think will, because there's gonna be a lot of offense in this fight, but I think if I was to pick who's gonna wilt first, who's gonna slow down even by the slightest, I think it's gonna be Barboza. Because if Gaethje starts to pressure him, yeah, like you said, if he doesn't let him get off that space, it might be could be a long night.
Yeah,
could be, or just one of those fights where he just can't really get comfortable enough to. He'll definitely have his moments. He's Barboza. He's gonna have his moments, but it might just become a point where he gets overwhelmed. And I don't know if that's gonna be a headliner, so I don't know if that's gonna be a 3-round or a 5-round. But I think the longer that fight goes, the more it probably favors Gaethje.
And just to back you up here, so people don't think you're taking shots at Barboza, there's really nothing. There's it's almost humane to wilt under the pressure of Justin Gaethje. Like it's not. We're not trying to take a shot at this guy not having any heart. We're talking. About,
the Gaethje's a different kind of.
Right.
Yeah, that's a different kind of pressure.
You know, you hate to. Obviously, we're not speaking to those people, but there's always the whole especially with Edson Barboza, he wilts under pressure kind of meme. But we're talking about a completely different kind of pressure. I think there are probably middleweights who would wilt under that Gaethje pressure. So
yeah, he literally doesn't die. It's like you hit him and his health bar stays at that 1% and it never goes to 0.
It's actually like, you ever have those bosses who it's red and you get all the red gone and then the blue pops up right after the
right.
red and then you gotta get rid of the blue and then there's green. So he's a man of 50 health bars.
Yeah. He doesn't go easy. But I think that's an early potential fight of the year kind of fight. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. And God bless whoever wins that fight, because I'm pretty sure both of those guys are gonna be in some pain that next day when they wake up, if they wake up. That's one of those fights I look at somebody could die in this fight. It's so violent.
You hate to put it that way, but it's and the best part is the winner of this fight gets to fight Tony Ferguson or Dustin Poirier, which is probably not any fun either. The top 25 is just a bunch of violent dudes and Gregor Gillespie. That's the top 25 of this division. Yeah, especially with, we're going to talk about him later too, with Donald Donald Cerrone came back in a big way.
Yeah, insert new challenger.
There you go. A new challenger has entered the arena. Old challenger.
Right. But yeah, so there are a lot of awesome fights. This year is shaping up. There's some fun fights to look forward to. And real quick, I just saw this on the front page of Sherdog. I didn't get a chance to write it down. I got flyweight, I guess, lives to see another day. We'll have Davidson, Figueroa, and Jussier Formiga will be fighting at UFC Nashville. So, shout out. They
didn't want to put that fight in Fortaleza. Too many Brazilian versus Brazilian matchups already on that card. They could do another one.
Yeah, well, just shout out to all the flyweights who are still getting booked. I hope.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about tonight, but I don't think they're out of the woods. We'll talk about it. We got plenty to talk about.
Yeah. Well, those are all the fights announcements. So, violence is coming in 2019. So just be ready.
Just UFC 234 is probably the weakest card I think so far. 234 with with the two middleweight fights at the top, and then it's here's every Contender Series guy ever and a few Aussies. 234 is probably your weakest card, but even 234's got some fun stuff on it too, and that London card is smoking. I mean, we're talking about Gunnar Nelson against Leon Edwards, and we're talking about Darren Till against Jorge Masvidal, and Dominic Reyes against your boy Volkan Oezdemir. And
Reyes is my boy in that fight.
Okay. Traded allegiances. Ruined. And there are some other pretty good fights too. I think Nate Wood is probably going to, Nathaniel Wood's going to be on that card. So you got some good stuff going. We're going to be okay, fight fans. We will be all right. We a good fight card tonight and plenty more coming.
Yeah. So, speaking of, we'll move on to the main event of the evening. This good old ESPN Plus card. Cejudo versus Dillashaw. So as you guys already know, the first card on ESPN Plus. I actually had to sign up today. I gave in, so they're gonna steal their $4.99 a month from me. And then I'll forget that I'll forget that I'm paying for it, and it'll just be a reoccurring thing. And,
Well, I mean, if you like combat sports, they got a lot of that. I've been using it this week because I signed up literally I signed up, I want to say New Year's weekend, and then never used it until this week. But they've got some good NBA, and they've got some NHL, and they've got fights, so you'll be all right.
quick question: Can you go back and watch something that already happened?
Man, I was able to do it with I was able to do it with a basketball game I was watching, but I only tried it with that, so I don't know.
Okay, because that was my worry about like watching the fights. Like if I wanted to just wake up tomorrow and watch some of these again, like is it still gonna be there or
Shit, we're gonna find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I was able to watch a basketball game that I had watched. It was like a college basketball game, so.
Right. Hopefully they got replay.
I mean,
but
come
real
on,
quick,
it's 2019. You got to have replay.
yeah, that and it's ESPN. They don't pull
500. You paid how many millions of dollars for this fucking TV deal? You can't get the replays from them.
right.
you made a mistake.
Yeah, and I'll depend on like ESPN to not pull like a Bellator and put us in tape delays and all kinds of wild, I hope they'll yeah. I feel like everything will be right, and that's what I was gonna say before we even start talking about the fights. Just in terms of like the ESPN Plus platform and just like this whole rollout. How have you enjoyed it just from I guess a broadcast standpoint, a presentation standpoint? Well, I'll say real quick, when I first turned on the stream, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is clear. Like,
Yeah, that was one of the things that jumped out to me. But I also feel like that's incriminating, because I imagine that most of these streams are very, very clear. Like I never had a problem with the Fight Pass stream being murky, but this one was really nice. It was a good looking stream, and most of their combat sports, like the boxing stream last night was pretty good too. So, in terms of the rollout, like you know what, we're comparing it to like the worst. So it's hard to immediately to say it's better is almost like no shit, it's better. ESPN Plus was better than Fox, but then again, Fox was like the lowest of the totem pole. So you're really comparing it to like the worst possible scenario. I had one issue with my stream. I don't know if you had it. It was during the Dustin Ortiz entrance, where it like died out and then jumped around to some commercials, and then came back as Ortiz was finishing his entrance. Other than that, though, it was all good. For me, the number one thing was just the pacing is different. And from what I read, most UFC main events start around 12:30, 12:40. And this one started at about 12, a little after 12. But damn, did it not feel like that. Like this card, I thought moved really well after the ESPN Plus prelims, which ended early. Like every fight ended early up until the top fight. So I was comfortable with it. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was streamlined pretty well. I could use with a whole lot less Stephen A. Smith. We can start there, but I think he was actually pretty. He was either really, really, really like tutored, or just happened to have the best night of his life as a professional. So
I feel like somebody in the production truck was reeling his, somebody was in his ear, like, all right, man,
shouting
listen.
in his ear.
But yeah, I won't bug Stephen A. Like I thought he actually did a pretty decent job. And we talked about this briefly before we started recording. But I think with Stephen A., at least with this broadcast, and I would hope they do this with everyone that he's a part of. Like he's there, he is a bright, kind of out there personality. But I don't think they put him too outside of his element. Like all of his talking points were kind of just. He didn't say anything too crazy. And then they had Bisping there by his side, so I think if he even would have said anything too wild, Bisping was kind of there to reel him back in. But I think he stayed within. If you haven't seen Stephen A. on his programming, This was very tame for him.
Or just on boxing, like there were him and Teddy Atlas going blow for blow.
Right.
Like I think that helps. Like I wonder what the conversation was before they went on air, because I get the feeling that Teddy Atlas probably welcomes confrontation, and not that Michael Bisping is a wallflower or anything, but he just got this job, so he's probably not going to get into a back and forth like, no, look, you like goof, this is what I'm trying to say. So I think he did a good job, and I think Cormier and Stephen A. Smith, I thought, kind of meshed pretty well for their brief moment in time together. So Stephen A. was tolerable. I don't want to see him again. Quit while you're ahead. What did you think of the graphical updates, or just the look overall to the product?
I like it. It looks more like, I didn't even notice at first, like they had the ESPN microphones. Like it did seem a lot more like official. Like everything looked cleaner. It looked more presentable. I feel like it just flowed a lot better. You can tell that ESPN kind of knows what they're doing. Like it didn't feel like clunky, or the only thing that really bugged me was, like, I watched this card from the very beginning, and I don't know, maybe I just read the wrong thing, but I was told that the early prelim started at 6.
Oh, so they needed to get you in there.
So I tune in at 6, and I see John Anik still talking at a desk. I'm like, hey man, I'm trying to see some head kicks, So I had to wait till 6:30, but it was good though.
Yeah, I thought the graphics were a lot better. Then again, we've been looking at the same like blue with yellow with that like weird knockoff kind of Fox music, like the Fox Sports music, that orchestral like 80s saxo beat stuff. So
right. So we'll get tired of this in like a month.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, you get 40-some cards a year. Eventually, this shit's all gonna look like. I did like with the opener, they kind of had the ESPN logo, and then the fighters in the ESPN logo kind of like actual in-fight. I was gonna say in-game footage, but in-fight footage. So I thought that was pretty cool. Well, I guess we can talk about you want to talk about the broadcasting differences? They did add 2 new people to the mix. Megan O'Leary, I thought, was really good, giving those almost like the kind of stuff that giving us those little like nuggets about the fighters. I think that adds something, especially if you have first-time viewers. Trevor Whitman, what did you think of Trevor Whitman? I think
he's really quiet. I feel like a lot of the night he was just watching the fights, and then when he would chime in, I'd be like, "Oh, he was actually there. I forgot."
Yeah, then you had like some of those really quick finishes where it's like, what is he going to say about the corner when there's no corner?
Right.
But I thought he almost came off, how do I put, too chill, a little too relaxed.
Yeah, you can tell he's somebody, and I think this might be a thing with probably a lot of coaches. Like, I don't think they know they're not microphone people. I don't think they really care. Right. Not that I think he doesn't like take it serious, but I don't think he can't really force like a personality that he just really doesn't have.
Right.
So it's just kind of like, this you guys want me to be here, so I'm here.
I think I you know what else it has to be like, because I kind of got this vibe. Most of these coaches have to know one another, right? Like, I'm sure Trevor Whitman knows Greg Jackson, knows Mike Winklejohn, knows down the line, whoever's coaching the Team Alpha Male. So I wonder how comfortable he was with kind of like going after them, like, this is bad corner advice. He did it a few times, but very politely, when I think he could have been maybe a little bit more aggressive in making his point, because he came off like just a really chill, like, you would never believe he's the top coach for Rose Namajunas and a million other fighters. So
right. But I'll cut him slack, because I can't think of any other times I've heard him on a broadcast table. So
the first time, and somebody did say that Whitman has like a history of being, I guess, hyper aggressive against media personalities. I kind of don't know anything about that, so I don't want to cast aspersions on on him as a person or whatever. So I really don't know anything about that. I'll have to plead ignorance.
I was gonna say, as soft as his voice is, I could not picture him like.
Well, you know how those keyboard warriors are. They're real soft, and then you get them in a face to face, and I mean they're real loud. Then you get them in a face to face, they tend to ball stuff. I felt like we would have been, because somebody brought it up to me on my Tumblr feed, so I felt like I would have been a doof to not have at least made some mention of I guess, a scuttlebutt.
But overall, yeah, production was good. I like this presentation. I think this is heading in the right direction. It was, and I saw like a lot of people on my timeline, like on Facebook, who were also watching, like when the card switched over to ESPN. So it's good. Like they're reaching a new audience. It's very accessible. So yeah, on that side of things, this ESPN deal is so far. There was one snag on, I don't think this co-main event went the way everybody. Well, I don't say everybody.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
We're gonna
we'll
talk about
get
that.
there.
But I mean, like, I think ESPN's got to be pretty happy.
Yeah. Overall, I think they're pretty happy. Like they gave us a good product, and then best of all, like we talked about before we recorded, like all these fights were entertaining. Like
Yeah.
there weren't really any snoozers on here. Like even I didn't know there was a 205 fight on this card. and I don't watch all of the like I've seen some of the Contender Series fights, but I haven't seen all of them. So when I saw 205, I was like, oh no, don't put this on ESPN.
There was the 205 on the ESPN card. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, you know what? It felt weird. It felt like, again, this is gonna burn out. It's 7 years. These things always burn. Or 5 years, whatever. These things always burn out. But God, the energy felt different. Like it felt like everybody kind of had a life to them. DC had a lot of energy. I thought DC had his best card as an announcer ever.
I think he was really happy. Like he was genuinely happy to be there.
Yeah, like and maybe he took it like as an honor because it is the first ever one. Like I think the first ever FS1 card was Rogan and Goldberg. So it's like for DC to kind of follow in that legacy. I bet that did mean something to him. He came off really good, and it's just a different production. We'll see how long it takes for us to get tired of it. But as of right now, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll be cussing Stephen A. Smith out 2 weeks.
Oh, wait for the man. The first time we have a close fight and he has to talk afterward, pronto.
Oh man.
He can.
But yeah.
We're like if these are what the cards are going to be, if this is the pace we're going to get. I thought the pace for the main card was really good. You got your usual UFC advertisements, and then you got like some ESPN advertisements on there, and it was just kind of like boom, 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 and then you got the fights, and I thought that was fine. And listen, we don't need to see all the walk-ins. If you want to cut some walk-ins, I think that's acceptable. Not gonna hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Oh, and breaking news, Manny Pacquiao defeated Adrian Broner via unanimous decision, 117, 111, 116, 112, 116, 112.
There you go.
I told you guys Broner was gonna get washed.
Did you get a backlash on that? I can't imagine you did.
I talked to somebody on Facebook who said Broner was gonna win. It's like, nope, it's not gonna happen.
Even a very, very, very past it Manny Pacquiao. Like, even a past it Manny Pacquiao is probably more tuned in than Adrian Broner is to his respective career.
I've been telling people Adrian Broner is the great value Floyd. He is the Aldi version of Floyd. he wants to be Floyd so bad, and it's just...
Okay, but what does that make Conor?
I have no idea.
It's Conor like the...
Thing is, I almost can't even make fun of Conor because he at least got a big payday. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure Broner got paid with it pretty well.
I'm just saying, like, Conor kind of borrowed some of the Floyd swag, so now we got to figure out what Floyd is if Broner is the great value Floyd. Conor is the...
What's below great value?
Tailgate Floyd. It's really not good food, but you're there and you want to do something before the game starts.
There you go. We got Tailgate Floyd and great value.
Great value Floyd.
They'll fight it out for some like aluminum title. That'll be Conor's.
No, they want that big gold UFC belt.
That's
what they want. You're not a fan? Is that what you're telling me?
Okay, when I first saw it, well, the first picture I saw actually wasn't a full picture, so it was hard to judge it because it was literally just like a zoomed in picture of just the middle part.
Oh, when the big gigantic.
It looked like a Power Rangers belt buckle. But when I saw the full picture of it,
it looked like if you were doing a UFC Western. Like that's what the big villain would have on the belt.
Like the full picture of it, like I like the strap design. I thought the strap design was like cool, But there's something about that middle part that just looks, I don't know, like it's missing something. Like it looks too plain almost. I don't know. I don't think it's really, like, I saw a lot of people think it's like the ugliest thing ever. I don't think it's terrible, but it feels like it's kind of dull. Like there needs to be something else there that just isn't. But I don't really know what that is. But who really looks at belts? Nobody cares.
That's what I was
about
saying.
belts.
Like, that was my opinion on it. Like I had said, like, you're going to see this thing a grand total of 30 seconds every month if you're lucky.
Right. And then like 80% of the time it's going to be an interim belt because, you know.
Which should be white.
Right. I think it should be like, oh, I said aluminum already. I can't say aluminum again.
No, you could double up. It's all right. It's 1 a.m.
Actually, really, my real thing was like, we shouldn't have belts anymore. Like, we should have like crowns and gauntlets. I think that should be the new thing.
That's actually, see, but then JDS has to throw his down before every fight, whether he's the champion or not.
Oh man.
No, but I saw some people really like worked into a big frenzy about it, and I'm just like, guys, it's
not that serious.
It really isn't. You're gonna see it maybe once.
I thought it was weird though that they said, I don't know if that was real, but they said like the women's belts are gonna be smaller.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I'm like,
well, because I think it was embarrassing because when Carla Esparza won her belt, it was so big that Dana White had to almost like hold it in the back for her while she had promo. So I think that they were a little embarrassed about that, and it makes sense. Some people said this belt was still too big for Cejudo. But I didn't see him having any problems with it, and he's also a very small man, so it's entirely possible the belt was just too big for him.
I'm saying, like, we all know the flyweight division is like a lot of buff middle schoolers. Like, of course.
So wait a minute. Let me just get this straight. So flyweights are like buff middle schoolers, and middleweights are like the tough dad. Is this like aging? Is this like how
right?
aging works?
That's been like the underlying theme that we never knew. Wow. The UFC is showing us the aging process.
You know what? But you think about it, like think of all those welterweights. That is kind of like the frat bro division too. So
because like 25 is like, yeah, you're the tough middle school kid. 35 is like you're about a freshman, sophomore in high school. 45, you're probably anywhere from you're a senior in high school till like maybe you like just started college, and then 155, you're grown man now. Like you're a grown man. 170, you're grown man, but like you're probably about 30.
I see.
And
I thought maybe younger because they all act younger.
No, maybe there's a gap. You're probably between like 20, like 27, maybe like 32, 33, maybe 34 max. Middleweight, yeah, you're in that age, you know. And I think we know how it goes upwards from there.
Yeah, light heavyweight, you're in midlife crisis. Everybody's got hair pieces. Everybody's driving. Everybody's getting flashy. They don't have titles at 205. They just have new cars.
Right. And the heavyweight, we don't even know what's going on anymore. That's just a
grandpa division. That's
yeah.
You're like in a nursing home.
Yeah, but somehow like you're still athletic enough to throw a punch.
You're in a nursing home, but the nurses are real dicks, so they made a fight club for their amusement.
Oh man, see, we connected the dots for you guys.
It's the worst.
Circle of life.
It's the worst breakdown of athletes ever. It's like
I'm sticking to this theme.
You know what? I'm cool with it. Now I'm trying to think of like midlife crisis things. Like everybody at 205 gets a divorce.
That's when life just really hits you hard.
Yeah.
You hit 205.
They just trying to cut weight to hang out with the 155ers so they can feel a little bit more alive.
Oh man.
Annicole's gonna write in. We made a mockery of his spot.
Oh man, yeah, I think he'll approve the old man slander.
I mean, Tough Dads was his. That was his thing. So we got you with the buff middle schoolers and him with the Tough Dads.
There we go. Just the middle school fight league.
I don't even think we've covered a single fight yet. How many?
We have not.
All right.
Yeah, let's get
Cejudo
to this.
Dillashaw. It lasted 30-something seconds. Cejudo won.
Yeah. Man. So heading into Cejudo Dillashaw, like when this fight first got announced, I honestly like wasn't really interested. I didn't really care for this fight. And then the closer it got, probably about the week of, I started to warm up to it. Because I just started to imagine all of the scenarios that could possibly happen. And newsflash, none of those scenarios, they didn't play out the way I thought they would. I did pick Cejudo to win this fight. And I posted that on social media as proof. But I thought Cejudo would win by decision. Like, my thought process, I guess, was I think Cejudo's on a good stride. I think he's peaking at, like, the perfect time. And I had too many questions about how this weight cut would affect Dillashaw. And just there was too many questions surrounding Dillashaw. So I never felt like 100% comfortable picking him, but at the same time I was like, he is still TJ, so I kind of have to give him that respect. So I thought it would be like another Mighty Mouse like fight where like Cejudo's gonna have a tough out, but he'll eke out a decision. It'll be a competitive fight, but he'll find a way to squeak it out. But nah, he didn't squeak it out. He blew the doors off the hinges, and he won this fight like he had something to do. Like he had another plan that night, and he had to hurry up and get this over with. Yeah, not really much to dissect. Like they came out, they pretty much met, face to face real quick. There wasn't any feeling out process. They're throwing. I noticed Cejudo really just from the beginning just looked really sharp. He looked really fast.
Yeah.
And then they had a brief moment where TJ had gotten close and Cejudo just kind of like gave him like a shrug, kind of like pushed him off.
It was a little thing.
And then Dillashaw gets back up. Cejudo throws a head kick. TJ blocks it, and then Cejudo follows up with a right that I didn't even know like hit him, but it caught him like behind the ear, and it was pretty much over from there. Cejudo catches him just with a bunch of ground and pound. TJ's trying to squirm and trying to like wrestle, trying to get his way back, but I guess too many unanswered shots, and 32 seconds later, Cejudo beats the brakes off of Dillashaw. Like this, there's no other way to really say it. And I mean, all right, you can complain about the and I can't remember what commentator made the point in the post fight, but like we've seen in like both of the Garbrandt fights, like it's not unfamiliar that TJ will get dropped in a fight and then he gets back up. But I think in this fight it was a little bit different. Like he got dropped. He's eating a lot of ground and pound. To be completely honest, I know TJ's TJ. He is one of the best fighters on the planet. But if I'm being honest, I don't think if that fight goes any longer, the outcome changes.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think Cejudo's just, he's peaking at the right time. And that weight cut just might have been, I can't 100% say one way or another. But if I had to guess, I'll give TJ props for making the weight. And the dude is like the ultimate professional. He doesn't really like pull out of fights. Not that often that I can think of off the top of my head. He made the weight. He was actually under the weight, but it just might have been too much, man. Like he ate that first right, and it was over after that. But props to Cejudo, man. Like you're on a 2-win streak that consists of the greatest flyweight of all time and possibly the greatest bantamweight of all time.
Yeah.
And you just beat them both back to back.
Yeah. I going into this fight, I'm a big enough man to admit that I thought Dillashaw was going to win, but I thought Cejudo was going to take the first round. And then I just imagined Dillashaw would wear him down with consistent offense, and Cejudo doesn't really move his head that much, and he's got kind of a big head, and Dillashaw's offense tends to be super precise. But I was concerned about the first round because this is the first time he's fighting at 125, and you can practice cut, but I don't think you can simulate getting hit full bore at a new weight class when your body is still adjusting to having to adjust to rehydrating differently, to everything being different. So I kind of went into that fight thinking there's going to be a few tense moments for Dillashaw early. I mean, 2 weeks ago I wrote about how I thought that was Cejudo's only path, in my opinion, the only path to victory. Did not expect him to finish Dillashaw. Cejudo is like a very weird. He's a very weird guy to figure out on a fight-to-fight basis, because this guy looked nothing like the guy who fought Mighty Mouse, who looked nothing like the guy who fought Sergio Pettis, who looked nothing like the guy, and so on and so forth down the line. Like, he's just a really unique when he wants to. I think he's the kind of guy who has to kind of fight pissed. And I think he felt disrespected by TJ Dillashaw coming down to his weight class. I think he felt disrespected about the fact that his weight class may not have existed beyond this event. And I think it motivated him. And I think he came out like a motivated, mad fighter. So if this is what it takes to get Cejudo to perform like this, then shit, I hope he's mad every fight. Because he just has this different... He's got like, when he's got something to prove, he's such a different kind of fighter. Like, again, he sleptwalked through the Sergio Pettis fight. He won by basically just taking him down and just controlling him. Like, he almost looked detached. And this fight, it was just like, since that fight, he's just been a dude who's like on a completely different mental level. So good for him. And good for him and TJ for creating a narrative to get some people kind of excited about 125. I don't know if it'll last long. I'm pretty sure it won't last long, because MMA fans just have a distaste for this division for some reason. But like, they did a great job hyping this fight up and making it seem like a fight for not just for TJ two belts, but for a division, and kind of telling this story of like every man Henry Cejudo against the fucking 135 Ric Flair coming down in weight to ruin everybody's fun. So I thought it was a great performance, and it was a great narrative, and I lack the plaudits for Cejudo's performance tonight. It was amazing. I don't know if it saves the flyweight division. I think that's presumptuous. I don't know what a fight at 135 looks like, but I'm pretty geeked to see what we get next from Cejudo. And Dillashaw, man, I don't know what you say about it. I feel bad for Marlon Moraes. I feel bad for Rafael Assunção, like those guys, because they're going to get jammed up, because you'd have to assume we're getting a rematch, right?
Yep. Yeah. So that means whoever wins out of Assunção Moraes is that fight's going to turn into an interim title fight.
Stay busy.
Yeah.
Stay busy.
Stay busy. I think one of the points you made, shout out to the Anti-Cool, because he mentioned this a lot when he talks about Cejudo. One of Cejudo's biggest problems, like earlier in his career, that Antico was always saying was like it was a motivation thing. Because if you guys remember, when Cejudo first got into MMA, like a lot of us were like the talent was never a question,
right?
But it was like the motivation and the work ethic, because like he was having problems, he was missing weight, and it just kind of seemed like he wasn't really taking this like as serious as he should have. And he could have easily turned into one of those guys like, man, he was super talented, but he just kind of like never, he never took it serious.
Right.
But when he's motivated, when he has like a goal, a clear-cut goal to reach for, like he activates another mode. Like he just, and I think that's kind of true, because if you follow just his story, like this was a guy who, from right out of high school, like was going to the Olympics. Like,
right.
The man had a clear goal that he was trying to accomplish, and then after he does the Olympics, it was like MMA was just like that next, I guess, thing to conquer. So as long as he has a goal in front of him, I guess he finds another gear to kick in.
Right. Like let's not forget, this was the guy who missed weight for his first year. He got pulled from his first UFC fight because he wasn't going to make weight. He had a bad weight cut, and they were thinking about like getting rid of him, and he had to beg the UFC to let him come back down to 125. So I think that speaks to Cejudo as like it speaks to his early career, like not give a damn about anything, and his recovery since that point. I mean, what words can you say that fit this guy?
Yeah, he's been locked in. He's been locked in ever since.
And it's interesting. Like, you know what? Look, Mighty Mouse, they're always going to be inevitably linked. This was not a fight Mighty Mouse was willing to take. So Cejudo took the fight and then did what Mighty Mouse was seemingly unwilling to do. defended his division against a champion coming down in weight. So that's a kudos to Henry Cejudo, I think. And
I feel like Mighty Mouse, you gotta be sick watching this fight. You
boy,
gotta think, dude, I could.
you would assume. You know
You
what
gotta
though?
be.
I wonder if they would have even put Mighty Mouse on the ESPN debut. If they would have put him like there. Dude, he would have been like on the prelims, like the ESPN prelims.
The first championship fight to open up a card.
Yeah. And it's like, remember in the old sitcoms when they would just cut the credit card right in front of you? Like, they just come down, take the belt, and like break it in half.
All right.
Division's done. Everybody go home. No, Cejudo deserves a lot of credit. And you know what? Like, honestly, it's not gonna sell. It'll never sell. I would be pretty intrigued by Cejudo against Benavidez too. Like, I think that's a perfect co-main event.
Yeah, I was gonna say in terms of flyweights, like the Benavidez, I think that'll always be an interesting match because they've had really close fights. And I think whoever wins out of Davison, Figueroa, and Formiga, well, I don't see the UFC doing Formiga any favors.
I mean, it's Cejudo beat Formiga, so it's like a
Yeah.
Oh no, Formiga's not getting a title shot if he wins.
Yeah,
Unless they have like no main eventers and they can't even like coax somebody. Like there's no Daniel Cormier golden carrot to dangle. Like they would be totally desperate to do Formiga against Cejudo. But, you know, they're desperate in many other ways, so and Dillashaw, like, oof.
Yeah, that's
Something
not only rough that you lost, but it's like, man, you didn't really get to show anything. Like, the fight happened so fast that it's just like
we're gonna get a wrestling story now. And I love you. Not here, but I'm gonna make you happy. There was like a wrestling match where they debuted King Kong Bundy, who was a big fat dude, and he won in like 4 seconds. And the guy who he beat went back to the locker room. And one of the other guys is like putting his gear on, and he looks over at him and he goes, "I hope you're not going to go take a shower after that." Like, that was this kind of Dillashaw performance. Like, you didn't even technically, like, what competition did you do over, like, besides just get beat up? That's like a rough one.
No, so yeah, you don't need to shower. Just go home and go back to sleep.
Yeah, just
like,
this never happened.
Your skin's still dry. Like,
I mean, I feel bad for talking about it like that, but this was like the worst possible scenario.
Yeah, that's
something about flyweights, man. Remember Dodson did this to him too back in the day, so
I wonder how, like, that he goes back up to 35. Do the optics on him change now? Like, I wonder, do other guys in his division look at him now where, like, I can, like, maybe their belief is, like, not that I think, like, I don't think Dillashaw was one of those guys who ever kind of had, like, that invincibility aura.
right.
But, like, maybe other guys are probably looking at him now like, oh, I can do something with that.
I wonder if he becomes like BJ Penn versus GSP, where he came back to the division and everybody for a minute was like he disgraced 155. Like, he had to redeem himself, which he did by, you know, submitting Kenny Florian and then beating the shit out of poor Diego Sanchez. So I wonder if Dillashaw is like they're gonna be 135ers who are like, you disgraced our. Because if I was hyping a fight, if I was that dude, I would be like, you fucking disgraced our division.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're coming up, like, you made us all look bad. You lost with a big head.
Not to go into another tangent.
Go ahead.
But if they would have waited for the Cody rematch.
Ooh.
If they would have held off on that.
Are you taking Anti-Cool Spirit right now?
Because now you would have really had a story. Like, TJ goes down to 125, gets his face punched off in 32 seconds. You go back up. Maybe you kept Cody busy in this time. Maybe he knocked out, you know, 1 or 2 more people or whatever, what have you.
Right.
Now you have a real rematch to sell. Like, and now Cody has some, like, legit trash talking points. Like, dude, you got beat up by the buff middle schooler. Like,
you got beat up by the Funko Pop with the big head. No,
his head is huge.
It is no, didn't we? I think we talked about this. Like, if you swap Junior Albini and Henry Cejudo's head. No, you know what? No, you know what? From that perspective, I think you're right. I think you're right. But listen, a lot of fighters have managers, and if you're my manager, you you got to be selling me this point. Like, you got to hammer it home. Like, this is an angle you can take advantage of. And it's legitimate, and it's not like you're faking something. Like, listen, if I'm Marlon Moraes and I beat Rafael Assunção, like, hey, look, I've been cleaning out this division for you. You fought the same guy twice, and then you went down the way and got KO'd. Like, I think that this actually kind of, it hurts TJ, but it can kind of spruce 135 up too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this gives everybody some ammo. Like
Oh,
if you're
for
a top
sure.
5 guy, he gave you some ammo. Now it's just up to you to just, you got to handle business on your end and just make it up there.
You know what's a little painful? Like, if you think about it, 125, they had the champion nobody cared about, right? I'm really worried that 125 is now going to be the division, like almost like the way 145 was with Connor, where it was like you have this amazing champion that everybody kind of wants to see fight, and then you have nothing, like nobody cares underneath him. Like that would be a little worrisome. So this division may not
Yeah.
even exist in April or May, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's the sad part. But I'm gonna try to be optimistic. I'll enjoy it while it's here and it's still giving us some moments.
My
There was another flyweight on this card that was a really good fight.
Oh yeah, and my guess is that Cejudo's going to leverage that to get himself a better deal. He's going to like, as I wonder if they can pay him enough for him to be like, hey, if you get rid of the division, it's cool. I got my money. You're going to be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. We could have saw either the ending of. God, that's scary.
Yeah.
But I don't even want to think.
Oh yeah,
about
because
it.
like nobody wants to see like. Look, 125 is a decent division, but it's still like never mind if it's a decent division or not. Like that's 20 something athletes losing their jobs. Like that's a pretty.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
So yeah, it's a grim thing to think about. So, and hey, look, both flyweight fights delivered tonight. We'll see if that continues to be the case with they have a few ones booked going forward. They have one in Brazil, one in Australia, and then one in, was it Nashville or Wichita? One of these rando locations. Some Midwestern, Mid-South honky-tonk place. So we'll see if they keep having good fights. If so, then I just think common sense has to win out. But common sense don't exist, man.
Yeah, it hasn't been common for a very long time.
It's the fight business, buddy.
Yeah, but props to Cejudo, man. The amazing performance, just went out there and just handled business, man. Under 32 seconds.
Yeah, these
you can't hate on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And these
Like,
first of main events, like they end quick, huh? Kane and JDS was fast. I think people forget, but Shogun against Chael Sonnen was like a minute and change too. So, like these first ofs, they got some speed to them.
Yeah. Well, on to going from a very exciting fight for as long as it lasted to a fight that I'm not really sure how to describe.
It was you want, I mean, boy, all right, let's just get to it.
All right, co-main event. There's so much to unpack. With this fight.
That's what I said.
Alan Crowder and Greg Hardy. First off, elephant in the room. I think we all know this shouldn't have been the co-main event.
Should it? Should it or should
I
it?
don't think it should have. Because I think the more I thought about this fight, I was like, I can see this going really wrong for them. And this is, I'm not even including the whole Greg Hardy domestic violence.
We're just talking. If you just talk about, we've beat that to death, but we've poor pun.
Yeah,
poor pun intended.
Yeah.
Like, or not poor pun intended, but just poor phrase of words. Like we've discussed that. I think we've all discussed that, and I feel like at this point we're kind of the fight's here, so we just have to talk about it.
Yeah, we just got to talk about it. But I was even thinking of it from an angle of like, okay, so you already kind of have bad optics on this fight because we all know why. And then I'm thinking like, so you throw Hardy in a co-main event. We've only seen him fight 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. Haven't really seen his entire game, and as we saw a little bit in this fight, there's definitely, I think the holes in his game we saw, or I think the holes we probably all expected that he have. But I was like, you obviously threw him in this co-main event for a reason. He's a name. He has this controversy. It's gonna bring eyes. Whether people love him or hate him, they're gonna look. And I think for the UFC, that's all that matters. We need eyes. We need ratings.
Right.
We need subscriptions. All that good stuff. But I'm like, if you throw him out in this co-main event at 3-0, if he loses, like this whole plan of you, I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to mold him into a star. They're doing something. You throw him in a co-main event. You had to think something of him to throw him in there. I mean, I get it. He's a name, so I understand that part. But I just feel like if somehow you threw him in there and he gets washed, now it's like, all right, do we cast him aside and act like this just didn't happen? Or do we try to string him along back for the... Like, I don't know. I just saw a lot of ways that this just could have... There were so many ways to look at this. Like, this just shouldn't be happening. Even outside of, the elephant in the room. But anywho, just on to the fight. I thought this fight was either going to go pretty much like one of two ways. Greg Hardy comes out early, pressures, knocks Crowder out, or Crowder drags this fight into later rounds, takes him down, maybe gets like a submission, or just like ekes out one of those really ugly, like grind him out decisions that isn't fun to watch, but he gets the job done. I guess we kind of got a little bit of both.
Yeah, we really did. We got the peanut butter and the jelly.
Yeah, Hardy came out. He definitely threw a lot. He hits very hard. Props to Crowder. He took his shots. He survived that initial storm. He got Hardy to the second round, and I was interested because I actually did watch Crowder's fights beforehand. So I saw his Contender Series fight, and I watched his fight with Justin Willis. So I wanted to see, like, if he can get this to the ground, like, all right, what is he going to be able to do if he can get him there? So he did get him to the ground. He worked him against the fence. I don't know. This fight was just kind of weird. I thought, what was that? Alan Crowder's like random war cry, like he tried to have like a Max Holloway moment
in the second round.
In the second round,
I think he was trying to like. I think man, I don't even know what the hell he was thinking, to be honest with you.
I might have a hot take.
Well, you go, and then I've got a hot take.
Because I think we have an opposite view of this.
Go ahead.
I think Crowder was going to win this fight. And I think a lot of people are going to disagree. I think Crowder was going to win this fight.
I feel like you know what? Like, to be honest, I don't know who was going to win because it was like a teeter-totter, except if it was a teeter-totter like Jello. Like real slow moving up and down action here.
Yeah.
I could totally buy Crowder winning. I thought Greg Hardy was going to win. Like, I felt like Crowder at that point was kind of just baiting him in to get a takedown. He did get a takedown, but it was stuffed. And then we got the finish, which if you wanna enlighten us on that finish.
Jesus Christ. So, we all know the rules of grounded.
Well, do we?
Well, some of us.
A small percentage of us, a smidge.
Yeah. So some of us, other people out there, I guess we are not as informed. And the bad thing about that knee was, it wasn't even one of those situations where like they're playing that game of, oh, I got one finger on the ground, oh, I got two fingers, don't touch me, like that whole thing. Like, Crowder was literally like on the ground, like like there was no question about this was illegal or not. I guess Hardy just had a rage moment. I don't know what it was. He catches Crowder with a knee, like clearly while Crowder is on the ground. Like,
so I did not do this. It was someone on Twitter. Someone on Twitter broke it down, and he sees the knee go up, like the first knee come off the canvas, and I think he's trying to time it for when the second knee goes up, but I think he overestimated Crowder's ability to do anything remotely like quick twitch. And so as soon as he sees the other knee goes up, he throws it. And like Crowder's not going anywhere. And kaboom. And that was it.
And I just, after this fight was over, I was like, this is such a This is such a UFC thing to happen in a co-main event that was just a tragedy from the start. Like
This is what you get.
Yeah, this had to happen.
I mean, all right. I just want to go back real quickly, and because I still feel really bad about that. My choice of words there. I was definitely not trying to, especially with this guy. Like, I was going for beat the horse to death. Not the right term with this guy. So I am apologizing. I don't think anybody got offended by it, but better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Having said that, like, this guy, I am not comparing them as people, because from all accounts, the other person I'm going to compare him to was a really, really, really great guy who had one of the like weirdest, most manufactured images possible. This guy is like a really, 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 you know what this guy is? This guy is what people thought Kimbo was. Like, people looked at Kimbo Slice and had this, like, saw this image of a dude with big gold chains, with insane muscles, who just looked like he wanted to kill everybody he was across from. Like, this guy's got Kimboism. And it's unfortunate, but it works. Like, he was trending on Twitter, and there was, like, most of the attention was for him, like, on this entire fight week. So, like I've said, the only way we're going to get this guy out of here, well, first is he has to lose. But he doesn't have to lose. He has to lose to a point where, like, people don't want to see him lose again. Like, we can't Broner him, you know what I mean? Since we're talking about, because Adrian Broner's fighting now, or just fought. Like, we have to get to a point as fans where guys like him who have this, and I'm a second chance guy, you know, I'm a big second chance guy. But, like, I get uncomfortable when fighters are sold on the basis of, I want to see him get knocked out. Because otherwise, like, you don't always get that. You get guys, sometimes those guys win. And that's not healthy either for the fan base. So I don't know what you do with him, because he's over. He's over in a sense that people want to see him fight. He had a lot of attention on him. And I don't think this is going to be CM Punk either. I think he's the kind of guy who, when he fights, I think he's going to get a lot of attention. So if he gets a lot of attention, they're going to keep booking him. Because you keep giving him fights if you keep getting the result out of it. It doesn't matter if he wins or loses if people want to see him fight. So you're kind of stuck, because this was like the worst case scenario. If you're a fan, this was the worst case scenario, because, like, you got a really bad fight. You got basically like Kimbo James Thompson, in a sense that it just wasn't anything remotely entertaining. So you got a really bad fight. And then you kind of got like this, if God forbid, but if you were rooting for Greg Hardy, you didn't get anything. Because he lost. Because he lost by DQ. And it's like, even though I think he would have won, it's not like that fight was any good either. And it's not like he was showing a whole bunch of stuff either.
And that was my other thing, like, that was my other problem with him being in a co-main event, is it's not like on the Contender Series we saw, like, oh my God, this guy has, like, potential to be, like, the greatest thing, like, ever.
No.
It's like, all right, you're an athletic guy who hits hard.
Yeah,
welcome
but, like,
to heavyweight.
That could take you far at heavyweight.
It can, but it's just like...
No, I understand completely. I understand completely. And like, it felt so, like, of all the all the feelings that came out with that fight, it was just like, if you came in watching him to want to see him win because you're that kind of person, or if you came in because you wanted to see him lose because you're that kind of person, like, nobody got what they wanted here. It was so anticlimactic and flat, and like, nobody got anything that they needed here. And so you're going to have this kind of funk lingering going forward. So
this was a Bellator co-main event.
But that's, again, he's Kimbo Dada.
Yeah.
He's he's Kimbo if Kimbo was like the realistic, if Kimbo's actual backstory was this bad. Like, not the Kimbo success story that was like the dude who, because Kimbo's whole background is basically a success story. Like, he doesn't have the Kimbo success story. This is a guy who was a top athlete, who was given everything, and, you know, at Ole Miss he was a potential top prospect, who fell to the 6th round over character concerns, went to Carolina, had his issues there, went to Dallas, and for the Cowboys was such a toxic personality that they were done with him as soon as the season was over.
I was gonna say, and let me speak as a Cowboys fan. If the Cowboys got to get rid of you, because we accept all of the screw ups.
I mean, yeah, like
if we get rid of you, it's a problem.
I mean, like they were talking, like at least the media people were talking, like there was conversations about cutting him during the year. So you got a dude like, and listen, he said everything. What you say is what you say, but he said everything right. He's been. He's spoken about it from his point of view. He hasn't come out like a madman about people asking about his past. He seems to get it. I think he gets who he is and what he's viewed as. He's saying what he has to say. I think the UFC broadcast could have been a little bit more strict, at least in addressing his background. They did address it briefly, but like it's part of the story. Yeah. So you gotta because again, comparatively to the boxing event this weekend, Sergey Kovalev was arrested apparently like in June, and it just came out. And Top Rank had an event, and Sergey Kovalev is on their February 2nd event, and they addressed it briefly, but it wasn't like they went overboard on it. But like this one bothered me a little bit more because it almost felt like it was in passing, and you can give a guy a second chance while still being honest about what the situation was, what he's accused of, or what he. I believe he was charged, and the charges were dropped.
Yeah, so he.
Right.
Yeah, he was charged initially, and then something happened with the witness.
Yeah, the witness, and then the record was expunged.
Yeah.
So,
but like, if you really dig into the story, there are pictures, there are secondhand accounts of like neighbors who heard what was going on. Oh yeah, for sure.
And it seems like even if you don't believe the story or the abuse, the allegations, whatever the case may be, it sounds like it was a toxic relationship of his doing that he stuck with. So you can address that. You can always be honest with your audience and let your audience decide what they want to do. Look, the people who watched this event for Greg Hardy were not going to not watch if you told them the background.
Right. They had their mind.
Oh yeah, like so there's nothing wrong with just saying like this is what the story is and let the audience decide. And listen, if he's gonna help sell out arenas and get booed, and he's comfortable with that, then they're gonna keep booking him. He's gonna get another fight. So, and he's with a top gym, so you have to assume top gym plus athlete equals. He's gonna figure it out, probably.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, I guess in the cage he's gonna figure it out. There are gonna be questions to be answered, but I sense that we're closer. I sense that he's better than this, and he'll get better than this. But do you want to put on with the ride?
Yeah, it's.
But go ahead. You were gonna say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because I've gotten like a few debates on Twitter about this, like with just kind of this whole placement. It's just a bad optic, and like you said, like I'm all about second chances, but like if you've been following Greg Hardy for a while, it's not like the second. It's like the third.
No, it's like the fourth chance. That's what I had.
Yeah,
when I had written about it. It's like his fourth chance. Like because this is again a guy who was a potential number one pick at Ole Miss who didn't go high. He went at the end of the draft because of people being a little concerned.
Yeah, and like so when you see a continuation of behavior, and like I said, I'm still all for people changing.
Oh yeah.
But when you see a continuation of behavior, you kind of have to be harder on him because you haven't really shown me anything else. And just because you may do one or two good interviews where you say the right thing, that doesn't make me forget like you still did. And it's not. I can't remember what debate I had on Twitter. I shouldn't even have gotten in it. But people are like, oh, he paid for his crime or whatever. And I'm like, it's not like he just had like a traffic ticket. Like
it is. I mean, you hate to put it in those terms, but yeah, absolutely. And
yeah, it's not like he just had like some small, or like he just got busted with like some marijuana, like something that nobody really cares about.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, you were out here like doing some really messed up like So yeah, you kind of don't get off as easy as,
Right.
as everybody else. And I hope he does. Society wins if he does change. Like,
yeah, I think that's
if he does change, he can help other people. That's one less problem that the world. We have enough problems going on in the world. We don't need any more.
We do.
That's one less thing to worry about.
Yeah, I think that, and it's a sensitive topic because Greg Hardy, like, sometimes he seems remorseful. I remember in Dallas, like, and again, we're kind of rehashing this, and we don't need to, but, like, sometimes I think remorse goes a long way with people. Like, Ray Rice, to his credit, has come off like a dude who's very remorseful about what he did. By all accounts, he, like, talks to people about it, and at the end of the day, like, people who have these, I've never been one of those guys who's believed that MMA is, like, a holy grail, or like combat sports in general, like a holy grail of personalities. Like, we have to be fair, and Carlos Monzon, I think, is in the Boxing Hall of Fame, and he killed his wife. And combat sports wise, like, we put up with fighters being in the news for not very good reasons.
We're still putting up with John Jones.
Well, I'm not trying to name anybody. John Jones was not the first name to come to mind, but, like, there are dudes who are always in the news for bad reasons. Like, there are just some guys who we put up with it. So MMA is like anything. It's a microcosm of your society, and you're going to have some great guys like Daniel Cormier, and you're going to have some troublesome guys. And you can't throw away the troublesome guys because, like, you can't just – there's always going to be that right to work argument. Like, he has a right to fight. This is not – pro fighting is not – he's not getting a doctorate. He's a fighter. So if –
right.
Because people always like, oh, he doesn't deserve. Like, earn and deserve is a funky concept to begin with in MMA. But, if he wants to be a fighter, then great. I wouldn't sign him. I wouldn't have signed him to the UFC. If you're going to sign him, I mean, this is a big card. He probably got most of your attention for it. So, like, shit, co-main doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me because it's like, anything after the main event is like just another fight, really, if you think about it. So I personally didn't take offense to him being on the co-main event because it's like it's a made up, like, reward. You're the co-main event, so I don't take it. Like, to me, it was whatever. I just wouldn't have signed him, but he's here. It sounds like he's gonna get another fight. Hopefully, the next fight is a little bit better, just as a viewer, and I hope they address it differently. Like, we're getting further away from it, and the more good behavior he puts on, the less of a story it's going to be. Yeah. But if you're honest with your audience, you'll get forgiveness. Or you won't, but you're never going to win those people anyway. So you can't just, like, run from what the story is.
I wonder, well, I was going to say you ended in DQ. You think there's any chance they run this back?
Oh, yeah. No, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to do it, and they're going to do it probably, like... Oh boy, would they do this on the July card? The big pay-per-view?
They probably would. You got it. They're going to throw him on a big... I mean, because this is obviously big because the first ESPN card. Yeah, his next appearance is going to be... You might have to pay to see him next time.
What a horrifying concept. You're going to have to pay. Or they could put him on ESPN.
Or he'll be on another one of these.
And that's one of the things, like, not to cut you off, but that's one of the things I want to specify. If you're mad about him being on here, be mad at ESPN. They have they could have stopped this. But they wanted him on it because it got the most attention.
Yeah. It's just... This is a weird situation. And then it just kind of blew up. And that's just kind of my whole thing. Like, this was such a messy situation to begin with, and it just... I don't know. I don't think the UFC did themselves any favor, but I don't know. It is what it is, I guess, at this point. Like, he's going to be a thing that we'll just have to kind of, he's going to be here, like you said. Like, at this point, I guess you can't really... I mean, you can't argue against it, but he's going to be here. So we'll see how long he can stick around.
And look, I'm with you. And if you're going to be the kind of person who is bothered by it, don't tune in. Because that's really the only way your point will ever get across. Like, just don't tune in. Because if you tune in to see him get knocked out, you're giving them what they want. So It's best to just not tune in. And you're not a fake fan if you don't do that. So, like, if you do that, cool. If you don't do that, that's cool too. Like, your time is precious on this earth. So you use it how you want.
I don't even know if we talked about the fight that much, but it wasn't.
What was there to talk about? He threw
the
hell was it? He had him against the fence, right? And he kind of stuck his hand in Crowder's face. And he, like, pushed it against the fence. And normally when you do that, you throw, like, first off, you shouldn't do that. That's cheating. But if you're gonna do that, like, you throw, like, an uppercut or you follow up with it. And he almost threw, like, a downward slash standing 12-6 elbow, like, at an angle. It looked like he wanted to punch and then change his mind, or he needs to go train. Like, he needs time, a lot of time.
Yeah, he looks like he's 3-0
for sure. And fighting, like, I mean, he was fighting relatively decent competition for heavyweights, but, like, oof, Alan Crowder is not a good heavyweight. And he did not look very strong in there. Would we? Honest question though, do you think Crowder took that one? Because for the record, if I was him, I would have taken it too. If he did take it,
too.
Like, I would have been. I'm not getting
I definitely would. Yeah, I would have taken it too.
So if he did, then
yeah, I can't judge you either way.
And the one thing,
you got hit with the knee.
Oh yeah, he got hit flush, and, like, I think a follow up, like, hammer fist. So
yeah.
And just to be fair on this, wrap this topic up. Sensei and I are trying to view this both as fans, critics, business people pretending to be business people. Like, we're trying to balance so many different avenues at one time. So
yeah, it's one of those fights that it's so many angles to look at.
Yeah, like, and you could do a whole podcast on it, and it's just so messy. Like, because there are genuine people who might have been watching who were hurt by this, offended by it. So you're trying to be respectful to them, but the fight happened, so we have to talk about it. So
yeah, to be honest, this fight, if you guys, well, oh God, I don't think I put it on Tumblr, but I did a write-up for the good folks at the Technical File Podcast, and I titled the article "New Era, Same Chaos."
Perfect.
And this fight was the reason why.
I'm trying to remember if my thing was like New Year, new shit, or New Year, different shit, but something along those lines. Yeah, like this was the perfect way. Like, you want ESPN to get the full bore, like the full however many inches you're going in on this TV deal. Like, they got it. They got Greg Hardy, and they got a title fight that ended in 30 seconds. A good fight, but you want to talk about Gillespie Medeiros? You just want to?
Yeah. We'll leave Greg Hardy and Crowder alone. But that was the fight that happened. But Crowder won via DQ, illegal knee. You guys will probably see the replay 80,000 times.
Oh, it'll be on Sport. Yeah, everybody who was offended by it in the news will have, like, the clip.
Yeah, it'll be.
That's just the way business is, fellas.
But moving on to Gregor Gillespie and Yancy Medeiros. What was funny about this fight was, like, I thought Gregor would win, but at the same time, like, when I saw the odds, because Gregor was like a minus, like, 400 favorite, and I was like, man, that's kind of disrespectful to Yancy. And then the fight happened. I was like, oh. I guess. I thought people were, like, even though I picked Gregor to win, to me, minus 400 seemed a bit much. Like, I get Gregor's good, but, like, we're not going to just overlook Yancy like that. Like, I felt like it was a little bit disrespectful. But my God, did Gregor just kind of go in there and just, you guys saw what happened.
A lot of one-way traffic.
A lot of wrestling. Gregor just puts on a lot of pressure, and I like it. It's not, he's not a I don't put him in that lay and pray category. He's a very active with his grappling. There's a lot. I guess you disagree.
Not that I disagree. It's just like it's not that I It's two things. One, I'm still kind of thinking about that conversation we just had, and two, like, I don't know what I would classify him as other than, like, when he decides he wants to do something, he's really fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't know why I was trying to, as good as he was doing in this match, and to pretty much summarize the overall, put his performance in perspective. I mean, he dominated the fight. Right. Like, it went the way you probably thought it would go if you know about Gregor Gillespie. Just really dominant grappling. He he pushes a pretty high pace. He's pretty active. Like you said, when he wants to go, he just kind of goes. And then poor Yancey got taken down a bunch of times in the second, and then ended up just eating a lot of punches. He just kind of he ragdolled him, man. He beat him up.
Right.
But in this really great performance from Gregor, I was trying to find because I think from this point, and I think a lot of people thought this way, like if he got past Yancey, all right, man, this is another guy lightweight. We might need to start getting him like some top 15. If anybody at the top 10 is willing to take him on, it's time to give him that next step. I think he's proven thus far that he's worthy of a step up, a big step up in competition. But I was trying to find like what in his game kind of like worries me. And then I was wondering if he fights somebody, what if he meets somebody who can maybe not stuff all of his takedowns, but, somebody who will put up a little bit more of an effort. Because, I mean, pretty much thus far in Gregor's career, at least in the UFC, he's pretty much just ragdolled everybody.
A sturdy fella.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is lightweight. That's not going to happen forever.
Right.
So what happens when you go for that takedown? Maybe you get it, but the guy pops back up. Or he starts throwing off submissions from his back. Or even worst case scenario, you go for that takedown and he just stuffs you. And now what's the next? I don't know. I'm just interested to see how that goes when he runs into that wall. Because it's going to happen. Eventually. You're going to run into somebody who's going to give you a lot more resistance than what you've gotten thus far. So I just kind of wonder what that next, what is that? What other gears does he have? What else? What other tools does he have in the arsenal? Not that I'm doubting him, that I don't think he can do it. I just want to see it, because at this point, it's like, all right, man, he's just kind of taking people's lunch money. Like, I want to see you fight another bully.
It's a good way to put it.
But Gregor's a beast, man. If you have not been watching Gregor Gillespie and his little hairdo that he has going on, yeah, man, the dude is just ragdolls people and just kind of has his way. But it's fun to watch.
Is it?
A lot of people don't like grapplers. To me, I enjoy watching it.
All right. Well, we all have our pick of the No, like I don't know. Like I wonder what the upside for that style of fighting is when you're like, because Conor McGregor made, I don't want to say he made Khabib, but like big money wise, he kind of did. So I just wonder what the upside for that style is, because eventually Gillespie's gonna have to like start fighting bigger names, and eventually he's gonna have to start maybe main eventing. So like, can you sell people on him? You know what it is? Maybe he just has a bland personality. Like, he's very just kind of milquetoast. But dude can fight. I mean, there's no question. Like, that was one of those Tatiana Suarez-esque dominant performances, Kamaru Usman-esque dominant performances, where you're just kind of like nobody can stop you when you're doing what you're doing. And that's impressive, especially when you have, especially at 155, what a division to do that in. But I just wonder what the upside is. I wonder where he tops off at. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of his style, I don't know if he, he'll be a fan favorite amongst the masses.
Right, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah. A lot of, I don't think his style is gonna lend towards what I think. I don't even want to just say casual. Yeah, I guess like what your average fight fan would want to see.
Right.
Unless I would say the only possible upside, like if he can kind of like Khabib, if he can ragdoll people, but like really just like, well, I mean, he did get the finish here, so
right.
I kind of can't really say that. But if he can ragdoll people and make it like a real bully fest, like I'm taking you down, I'm punching you like 30 times, you have no way out, there's no, make it real like violent, make it real ugly.
Yeah, because let's be fair, like for 9 minutes, it was really, really, for me at least, really boring. But when he turned it on in that last minute, it was like, this is a fucking guy he could do this. Like, he can absolutely just, I'm going to finish you now. and pour it on. And you could see him pour it on, and Yancy Medeiros had no answer and no way out. So that was really impressive. I like Gillespie. I feel like I say this all the time with him. I just think he's like the most dull of the major 155 prospects. You know what I mean? Like he's the blandest. And that's hard to get over when you're trying to be a big money star, so to speak. Although I don't think he cares. Like Gillespie strikes me as the sort of dude who's just happy to be competing.
Yeah, I think he's just happy to be.
Yeah,
there.
and like there's nothing wrong with having those guys. And I would be excited to see him against Alexander Hernandez. Who we're going to talk about later.
Well, he.
We're going to talk about him in a bit.
Yeah.
Well, what other main card? Oh, there was the Ortiz Benavidez. So we're getting there.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a bit. But yeah, Gregor Gillespie, like I said, if he in a sea of just killers in lightweight, he is a standout, and that alone is a commendable enough feat because everybody's a standout in lightweight, and he's separating himself from the rest of the crowd. So
totally shut down Yancey's striking game, by the way. Unbelievably good at that.
Yeah, like I thought Yancey did a good job in the first, I think, of just surviving because he didn't take like a ton of damage in the first. He just kind of got wrestled and controlled a lot. So part of me was like in the second, I was like, well, maybe, he didn't take a ton of damage. I'm pretty sure his cardio is probably still holding up. Maybe he'll be able to get something off. No, it never happened.
Never happened. Just
never
steamrolled.
It never happened at all. But no, yeah, Greg Gillespie, man, that guy's like you said, when he turns it on, he's an animal. So definitely interested to see. I hope he gets a big fight next. I think he's earned it.
Yeah.
I'm always excited to see new blood. So shout outs to Gregor Gillespie. Moving on to the flyweights, Joseph Benavidez, Dustin Ortiz. This was a rematch. I think the first time they fought was like 2014, 15, something like that.
You chat and I'll pull that up for you. I want to say it was like 2016, but we're gonna make sure.
Some years ago. They fought.
A bit ago.
Yeah, but this was a really fun fight. Like this was another one of those fights. It's like, man, I don't want to see flyweight go away because they got these two guys out here like fighting their hearts out. Like these guys were really going after it. Like
14.
Really entertaining. It was 14.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was wrong. I've been wrong a lot on this podcast. Let's continue.
Yeah, that's my one. I'll get everything else wrong. I'm terrible with dates.
We learned that one.
But we won't mention that. But Benavidez and Ortiz, really entertaining fight. Benavidez actually dropped Ortiz. I think that was in the first round. He caught him with like a right hand and dropped him. But there were just so many just grappling exchanges. It was flyweights being flyweights. Like they move so fast. There's so many grappling exchanges. There's so much going on. Everybody's moving at 100 miles an hour. Like I said, it's the tough middle schoolers. They're in the middle of the schoolyard and they're just kind of throwing down. I thought even though Ortiz lost, like I think he's looked a lot better in recent fights than like from what I remember seeing him in the first like couple times I've seen him. Right. Like I think they even mentioned it during the broadcast. Like his striking has come a long way. Like he looks a lot more confident in his striking. He sits on his punches more. But Benavidez, man, like the dude has just been. He's another one of those guys that he's just always been like at the top.
Yeah.
And even when you think he lost a step, or even when he might drop a fight, and you think like, oh, maybe this is his decline. Nope, he's still there. And even though I will say, like, I don't think he's as. I think he has lost a bit of a step, but even him losing half a step, he's still better than like 95% of the other flyweights.
For sure.
And he's had so much experience, and if you look at his record, he's another one of those guys. He's fought like just a lot of really great competition. It's hard to overcome a guy like that. And Ortiz, like I said, it was an awesome back and forth fight, but Benavidez is just gonna Benavidez. Just kind of one of those just facts of life. Unless you're a Cejudo or a Mighty Mouse, good luck fighting Benavidez. He's got a.
I feel like you paused there to turn it over to me, and I was yawning, so I was struggling to cut this yawn off. I was struggling to cut this yawn off so I could jump in and save you there. You know what? I wonder if Dustin Ortiz could have won this fight if he tried to clinch less. Because I felt like even getting dropped, I thought he had some pretty good success on the feet with Benavidez. And it was like he engaged one too many times, in my opinion, in clinch fighting with, like, Joe Benavidez is one of the best scramblers, I think, in MMA. And if you clinch with him, you're either going to try to take him down and get put on your back, or he's just going to take you down. And you can get out from under him, but he's so sticky when you get back up that he's going to get you back in the position he needs you to. So I wonder if Ortiz could have done a little bit better if he wrestled a little less. Benavidez, I think, has lost a step in terms of his reflexes from a defensive standpoint. He gets hit a little bit more than he used to. But offensively, he's still there. His counters are still really sharp. On the ground, he's still there every single step. Like, he's a top-notch scrambler. And watching these exchanges, and then like an hour later watching Greg Hardy and Alan Crowder look literally like two mucks fighting on the ground. Like, this was just a different... Like, flyweight, I can't imagine watching a heavyweight grapple fest and then watching the flyweights and not enjoying the flyweights more. That was a really good fight, and that was some great scramble exchanges. And Benavidez, in a just world, Benavidez would be your number one contender. World's not just. He'll probably be waiting. He'll probably take a fight, and knowing how MMA works, he'll probably lose a split decision. And once again get stifled for his chance at yet another title shot. So,
yep.
Such is life in the MMA land.
Yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. But like I said, another one of those fights where it's like, please, man, just let these guys keep their jobs.
Yeah, like in a just world, we're talking about like that should have been your co-main event. That, because you're going to use Cerrone versus Hernandez for ESPN. That could have been your co-main event. Like Benavidez against Ortiz was that good of a fight on paper, and it lived up to it. It was a good fight.
Yeah. So, yeah, shout outs to both of them dudes, man. That was a really, really awesome fight. Yeah, I don't know what they do next with Benavidez, because like I said, I don't see the... But I think if Formiga wins, they'll give Benavidez the title shot.
No, like, Benavidez's title shot is literally be available in the event that Cejudo or Dillashaw gets hurt and they need like an interim title fight or a filler title fight.
Right.
So just stay busy.
Yeah, keep busy.
He did have probably the best snafu of the night when he said he was strawweight. He won the strawweight title. So.
Hey man, go over to one.
Go over to one, or I'm trying to think of another division, another place with a 115. I can't think of one, and that's not cool to call out Rose Namajunas either. So that's Jessica Andrade has that title shot. So,
but yeah, man, Joe Benavidez, man, dude has been out here forever, and he's still.
I mean, that's crazy. You think about his longevity for being a top fighter since 2000. I first saw Joe Benavidez on the WEC pay-per-view. When was that? 2011. So he's still.
I remember him.
Go ahead.
He choked out my homie. he choked out poor Miguel Torres.
He's just I think it was that, right? That fight? Or am I?
Yeah, and he had a really close fight with Dominic Cruz.
Two of them.
Yeah, two very close
and,
fights. One of them, I think you could argue he may have won.
And
but my memory's kind of hazy.
The first fight with Mighty Mouse was pretty close as well.
Yeah.
And then the second one, he got blown out. But
yeah, dude's just been at the top forever.
Something to be said. He's one of those guys, when they have the conversations, because they talk about with Cerrone, the best fighter to never win the title. He's got to be up there.
Yeah, he's another name that kind of gets forgotten.
Yeah.
No, but awesome fight with the flyweights.
What was next? Oh, Page against Ostovich.
Yeah, next fight. Paige Van Zandt, Rachel Ostovich.
Ostovich.
Oh, did we mention Benavidez won the unanimous decision?
Yeah, we did.
To make sure we are.
Well, it wouldn't be me on a Dojo Talk podcast if there wasn't at least one. Oh, by the way, somebody won.
Right. Next fight, flyweight division for the women, Paige Van Zandt, Rachel Ostovich. Fight made me really. I don't even know if I should say this. Probably isn't a good comment.
I mean, we're already here, so.
This fight made me mad that like Reebok gear is a thing. She can't wear her Wonder Woman.
Oh, that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I
wasn't gonna go too far.
Well, no, I was actually thinking about something else. Like I thought, because it made me mad, but for a different reason.
No, that was one thing. That was like the first thing I thought of. And then this fight just made me sad because I wanted Rachel to get this. And man, when the fight first started, it seemed like everything was, I hate when a fight just starts one way and then I get my heart ripped out like the next round. And I don't want to turn this into like a Paige like hate fest. She didn't do anything wrong, it's a fight. These things happen. This is just kind of how it goes. But like, Rachel had a good, I thought, plan in the beginning, like the working takedowns. Even though I think she got stood up in the beginning because there wasn't a lot of action. But like I got the game plan. I understood what she was going for, and it seemed like it was working. Like Paige Van Zandt, she's pretty talented on the feet. I forgot who did she head kick into another. I don't remember who that was. She sent somebody to the afterlife. Yeah. So she's proven that she's handy on the feet. And Rachel Ostovich is like competent, but that's not like her bread and butter, so to speak. So you get Paige to the ground, you neutralize all that striking, just stifle her offense and probably eke out a win. And I thought that was what was going to happen. She got Paige down, and everything just seemed like it was working. And then in that second round, just they start, going for submissions. Paige is going for heel hooks, and I started getting nervous. Like it just felt like the tide was somehow it was gonna turn, and I wasn't ready for it. And I mean, the props to Paige because she got caught in some bad spots. She got taken down. I still think that's kind of like a glaring hole in her game, kind of. But like she was finding ways to get out of these bad spots. And poor Rachel, man. Like I thought Rachel was gonna get out of the armbar, and then when Paige locks it in, and I don't know if you saw the replay, but like she sat on that, like her elbow was like, that looked painful. I didn't even see that she tapped the first time in the replay. Then I saw it. But man, like great submission from Paige to pull that off, and it was a pretty nasty armbar. But man, for Rachel, she was like on the ground for a while, like afterwards. Well, I imagine partially because she probably was in pain because that looked like it hurt pretty bad. But all she's been through like this week, but more than this week really. It kind of hurts. Like you kind of just want to see that kind of heartwarming story. Like you've been through a lot in these last couple months, and I think it would have been nice to just get one good thing kind of going for you, And it's just fight game, man. It is what it is, It is what it is.
Yeah. It was Paige Van, like this fight frustrated me. I wouldn't call myself a Paige fan. I feel like she gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I feel like she's underrated in terms of her actual like athletic ability, and her skill set is still developing. But we need to get her like with a top flight gym, because Rachel Ostovich threw the same overhand into like a sideways leg sweep takedown. Like she kept taking Paige down with the same combination setup every single time. And that's a glaring weakness. And the fact that it happened in the second round too was like, I really hope the corner said something, but we didn't get any like corner audio. I didn't at least. So I was just kind of amazed that she got taken down again. But Paige Van Zandt is really underrated as a finisher, because the only person I think that she's not been able to, like, of her wins is Felice Herrick, who's tough to beat, like, tough to finish. But when she gets somebody in a bad spot, she tends to seal the deal. So as soon as Ostovich was caught in the armbar, at first I thought it was going to be a triangle, but as soon as like the weird setup happened, as soon as she got thrown over, I was like, oh, we're in some deep, deep trouble now, because Paige is a great finisher, and Rachel Ostovich, throughout her career, even in Invicta, kind of tends to put herself in some bad spots, and she doesn't always seem to be able to get out of them. So to me, that was worrisome. And then the armbar was just brutal. I turned away from the TV on the replay because I'm like, I was afraid that we were going to have like one of those compound fractures, because just the angle and like the fact that it was caught like on the very end, it looked rough. Paige is getting better, but I also think she's getting worse. So I don't know what you say about it.
Now you say that, she kind of reminds me, not super similar. I feel like she has like the Sage Northcutt.
Oh, I got it. You want a really wacky one? You want a really wacky comp? Derek Lewis. Hold on, let me explain. She's like always losing until she starts winning, and then when she starts winning, the fight's over. Like there's no in between. She's so talented. I just wish, like, I don't know what her training schedule is. I kind of feel like she's balancing between being like a bigger star than the UFC and being a pro fighter, and that's a little complicated. And so you see some improvements, but the fight IQ is still not there. So I wonder how much work she's putting in. How much work she's putting in relative to like way more experienced fighters like Joanne Calderwood. So I'm pretty optimistic for Paige, but like I don't know. I don't know what the next plan is for her. Like, who do you even match her up with? Because Ostovich was like, the Ostovich story was very inspiring. I like the fact that she was even fighting on this card is amazing. I'm surprised that they even let her fight. I'm sure that other people have commented on maybe she shouldn't have fought. But Rachel Ostovich is a very, very, very raw work in progress. Like, she's not, I wouldn't call her not a good fighter, but she's very, very, very raw and still in her early years as a professional athlete. So, you know, like this was probably the lowest they could go for Paige as an opponent at 125. And I can't think of anybody immediate who's not like, she's way out of her range with her, or she's like, it's almost like like a sideways step. So I can't really think of an immediate opponent. I know that Montana De La Rosa called her out, who had beaten Ostovich before her, which I guess would be interesting, but like, you don't want her fighting Calderwood.
No.
You don't want her fighting Calderwood.
Yeah, you do not want that smoke.
Apparently, Jessica Ai is going to fight Valentina Shevchenko, so that's out.
Could they possibly? Yeah, I know this will never happen. Do they finally? Because Nico Montano's phone probably has cobwebs on it. Because I don't think the UFC is. I don't think they talk to her.
I don't think her phone rings that much. She might be on. You know that one dude at work who just never shows up when the weather's bad. He goes on that like do not call list. Montano.
Like you try to, you know, because I mean Montano was champ, but she didn't have like a ton of.
No, Montano was a work in progress too.
Yeah, so I feel like they would be somewhat around like the same.
You
level.
Roxanne Modafferi.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Man, think of those two fan bases clashing. Like
that's an interesting Twitter argument.
Oh my God, the Modafferi fans and the Van Zandt fans would be something.
I wouldn't be mad at it though, because like Modafferi, you know, she's definitely been around the block. Like she's a veteran pretty much in every sense of the word. I think she could test Van Zandt, and if Van Zandt can get past that, then you know, like
go ahead.
It's not like a huge, you know, deal, but it's something. Like there's something there, I think.
Because Paige is like so weird in a sense that she's underrated by a lot of people, but I think the UFC kind of overrates how good she is.
Yeah, that's why people.
So it's like a weird dichotomy where she should still probably be developing, but she's probably going to wind up fighting somebody who's a level above her, or 2 levels above her, or 3 level, or 8. Like, you know, you don't want to see that. You don't want to like put her in there against the Jara Eubanks or whatever. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to think of some of these 125ers that they have.
Listen, dust off Nico's phone. Get the Kleenex, wipe the phone off.
It doesn't even have to be an apology. Just call her up, give her the date, give her the opponent, and then hang up. You don't gotta hang around.
Right.
No, but like seriously, like they gotta be smarter with her, I think, because who knows how long you have her for. So.
Yeah, I was about to say she's definitely one of those fighters that probably at this point, I ain't gonna say she don't need the UFC, but I'm pretty sure she could find, she's done things outside of the UFC, or like she was on Dancing with the Stars, like she probably could have a career outside.
She did
of
a
fighting.
Chopped episode, like she could.
Yeah, she can leave.
You know, she's like the anti-Ronda in the sense that Ronda's star power was so limited to MMA because like there's really not a lot of personality in Ronda Rousey, as you see her on Raw and can attest. Whereas Paige, I think, comes off better, and that's why she probably gets more opportunities to do stuff. So, but just don't rush her, guys. Let's not do that again. Like, find somebody who's really slow. Somebody who's really slow and not super strong or very like fight savvy.
Somebody who she can pull off that 1-2 head kick combination with. She seems to. I noticed that when she fights, she goes to that well a lot. She loves the 1-2 head.
At least she didn't throw any spinning stuff. That's like because that's another one. Like she'll throw spinning back fists way out of range and just like only Tony Ferguson can get away with spinning like 40 feet out of distance. Because he's so weird and long and willing to do it.
Yeah, he'll spin 40 feet and then go for a roll and grab you. And
yeah, you get the Dark Souls roll and then he's on top of you.
Yeah, he'll make a whole string combination out of it that doesn't make sense, but he makes it work. But yeah, Paige Van Zandt got the submission armbar over Rachel Ostovich. So
and Rachel Ostovich needs to take some time off and just what's the term I want to use? Well, I think her arm got really hurt. But no, I was going to say, like, just, I feel like she could use, like, a year in the gym. Because she's obviously talented. I just, like, there are holes in her game that need to be fixed.
Yeah. There's a foundation, but yeah.
You want me to do the next one for you? I could do this one real easy.
Well, this next fight, this rounds out the main card. Glover Teixeira, Carl Roberson. I posted on Twitter right before this fight that if Glover gets knocked out, I'm cutting this card off. I'm just not watching. And there was a brief moment where I thought I was gonna have to cut this off. Thought I was gonna have to get out of here, man. Glover had me nervous.
No idea how he recovered from that.
Yeah, like he ate some shots, boy. I'm proud of him. Because I thought he was gonna die. like when this fight got announced, because for those who don't know, this fight was originally supposed to be Glover Teixeira and Kudalaba, but I don't think Kudalaba got injured or something happened. He couldn't fight, so Roberson was a late replacement. And I was like, Glover should be able to turn around the young guy. Then I thought about it. I was like, I don't know, man. He's been kind of sketchy lately. Like he hasn't, he's not Glover anymore. He's old man. He's old. I mean, really, he was always a kind of old man Glover. I mean, he came into the UFC and he was already like in his upper 30s, but now he's like old man Glover. Like you can kind of see it. But I don't even remember the sequence. It's where my memory's gonna fail me.
It is 3 a.m., so you should be forgiven.
Yeah.
Glover.
I know there's.
I think Glover went in for a double leg. He got the Travis Brown, Josh Barnett, where he got in real deep on a double leg, and Roberson started throwing those elbows, and Glover. I thought he was done. He like folded.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, like in the post fight, he was just like, "I was right."
Like sure. But nah, he showed some resolve, man. Like he came back from those elbows. He managed to get another takedown. I was like, yes, there's life. He's still there. He's still with us. Yeah, man. He took advantage, man. He ended up getting in the arm triangle choke, and I was just relieved. Like he lived, and that's all that mattered. He didn't get knocked out, and that made me very happy. Because Glover just seems like the nicest guy on earth. Like somebody Somebody had posted this on Twitter. They said like he's the cool uncle that's actually cool, that you actually like want to hang around. He's actually like a really nice guy.
Seems like he really, you know what? Like we were just talking about how MMA is like a microcosm, and it's like you have the guys who are obviously like I don't know what kind of term you use, the controversial figures, I guess would be the best way to put it. And then you have Glover Teixeira, who if you don't like Glover, you probably have a problem. Like I judge you. Because he's that kind of a dude. Carl Roberson lost this fight the same way he lost the Mutante fight, which is that he's so raw and young that he has no idea what the ground game is, and it showcases. Because that was some ugly defense against Glover. And it's weird because Glover Teixeira won, and now he's going to fight again, and that's kind of a bad thing. But I also think that like I probably would not have been able to handle Glover getting flattened and laid out in front of his students. Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't have been okay with that.
I think Glover's slowly approaching like the Shogun territory. I'm like, how long is he gonna keep doing?
He just called him out.
Oh my God, that's the old man fight to end all old. You want to talk about senior showdowns, man? This is
showdowns.
This is the granddaddy, no pun intended, of them all.
Senior showdowns. I'm trying. Instead of a belt, it's like a mug. World's best 205er.
There you go.
Senior showdowns.
God, that is. I don't know how I would feel about that fight, but I feel like it's gonna happen.
Senior showdown.
I'm not gonna be ready for it.
Senior showdowns is gonna be stuck because it's literally a senior showdown. Oh my God! It's like two mythical creatures.
Oh man, but. Congrats to Glover Teixeira, man, getting the arm triangle submission. He lives this fight another day.
You want to say that it's like a safe finish, but he also took like 43 elbows, so it kind of...
Yeah. I hope you sat down after that. Just go collect yourself. I know you were in good spirits, but just make sure you're okay.
And then he offered the ESPN guys free jiu-jitsu lessons.
There you go. So, look at that. The man is just class act.
Literally, like I said, he's a guy like the nicest dude in the world.
Oh, man. I'm glad he won. That made me happy.
The senior showdown.
Oh, this next fight. These next couple fights are going to be fun to talk about.
Well, I just want to go back real quick. I know it's like 5 a.m., but I want to touch on this real quick. Is Glover or JDS the nicest Brazilian of all time? Or Cowboy Oliveira?
Oh, JDS is pretty nice, too. He's pretty nice. Didn't he, like, hang out with, what's his name before their fight?
Who?
Who was his last name?
Tuivasa?
Tuivasa? Weren't there, like, pictures of them, like, hanging out?
I'm sure of it. Like, I just can't imagine anybody disliking JDS. That's a weird one.
I don't know. They might be tied.
Oh, man.
They might be, like, 1A, 1B.
I would say, yeah, that's possible. And then you have, like, Sergio Moraes and Cowboy Oliveira. And then John Lineker. He seems to be happy all the time, too.
They're so happy, but they kill people. Like Lineker's like the most violent in cage guy.
He's like the scrappy dude. He's really nice, and then you get him all worked up, and he wants to knock everybody out.
Oh man, but yeah. Shout out to Glover. That any Glover win, I'm always happy for. This next fight, this is what headlined the ESPN portion of the card: Donald Cerrone versus Alexander Hernandez. Man, so this fight, I had a few thoughts when this got announced. I think I'm pretty sure I picked Hernandez to win, and my thought process was that eventually Hernandez, his pace would just be too much, and Cerrone can be a slow starter, and that I think I thought he'd be able to, like, maybe not necessarily overwhelm, but just kind of outwork him to a decision. But I also remember thinking, like, the one thing Cerrone has in this fight that a lot of people just, like, as much as he can be a slow starter, And, sometimes maybe he loses fights that he should win. He's a very crafty dude. And I think there are a lot of facets of his game that kind of get overlooked because we've seen him put on great performances, and then we've kind of seen him at times be kind of inconsistent. But you talk about a guy who's a veteran in every sense of the word. Like, the man has fought like 80,000 times, 20,000 finishes. Like the man he has so much experience, and then he has that ground game that people don't talk about, but it's there, and it's very good when he actually decides to use it. But boy, did that not even have to happen in this fight. Like, the way he won, I didn't think he would win this way if he were to win. I was thinking like more so Hernandez would like overwhelm him with a takedown, and kind of like, I don't know, Perry fight, he gets caught with a triangle because Cerrone's just kind of crafty like that. Right. But Hernandez, I mean, he started out okay. He had the pressure. It started out the way I thought it would. Hernandez is just immediate pressure in Cerrone's face. He landed a couple of good shots. When Cerrone was taking the shots and wasn't really fading, I was like, oh, we might actually have like the old man is about to kick this young guy off the lawn. Like,
different senior show
because
now.
Yeah, they're trading, but I'm like, Cerrone's he's taking these hits, he's taking this pressure like a lot more. He's taking this better than I thought he would, and I was really impressed at like how, like if you guys haven't watched Hernandez, like he just in every fight it's an insane pace, like it's a sickening pace that he keeps, and Cerrone was keeping up with him, like he wasn't gassing out, he was. Maybe not. Well, eventually he had more output, especially that second round. But like he was hanging with him, and Cerrone was just doing a lot of slick moves. I love the knee, man. The knee just that knee is so deadly. Just every time he throws it, and they're having these exchanges, and Hernandez is doing okay, but then Cerrone starts landing, and then next thing you know, Hernandez's nose is looking kind of funny. And then he goes for a takedown. He gets blasted with a knee. And before you know it, Cerrone just, like, went like Super Saiyan. And it's just like, he just found this groove. And like I said, it's the old man kicking the young guy off the lawn. Like, when Miles Jury thought he was going to come in and be the new Mr. Hot Stuff, and Cerrone, like, literally kicked him in his ass. Like, Cerrone again. Young guy comes in, and I'm not going to fault Hernandez for being confident, cocky, whatever you want to call it. He's young dude on the block. You got to
do something
whatever.
to separate yourself from everybody else.
Yeah. Especially in that division. Sure. A bunch of killers. We mentioned Gillespie earlier. Yeah. Like, you got to separate yourself. Right. Cerrone ain't the guy, I guess. Try to... And it was weird because, like, I'm looking at Cerrone's, like... I don't know, I mention this a lot now on podcasts. Like I always like look at people's like body language and just like how they move. And Cerrone to me like still kind of like looks old, but it's like
I think it's the hair. Because the hair makes him look 15 years older than it makes him look his fight age and not his actual age.
Yeah, he looks like super old, like old man Logan, like but you watch him fight, and he was so just effective and efficient in this fight. Like I said, that knee was just money. Every time Hernandez thought he was going to shoot down or do anything, the knee's in your face. Then he's landing hooks. He's catching them with elbows. I don't think Hernandez was ready for like just the amount of offense and just so much offense, a variety of offense. And I think, and I can't fault him for thinking this because I kind of thought the same thing. Like, all right, even if we engage in like a slugfest, I'm younger, I'm faster, I can outlast you. Like, eventually you're going to wear down, and I'll just kind of be able to take over at some point. Nope, didn't happen. Cerrone goes Super Saiyan in the second round, and he put a clinic. he put a clinic on Hernandez. And then, if Cerrone catches you with a head kick, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck trying to survive that. gets caught with a head kick, and just gets pummeled. Like, I mean, they said it when Cerrone had that kid, the man just activated a new level. Like, that kid unleashed some superpowers that. Right, this is the true Cerrone final form, and like you even hear it now, like he's talking about, I want the title. Like this is like a goal now. This is like a thing.
Right.
He's not like just fighting just to like, oh, I'm just out here having fun. I'll fight whatever. This is Cerrone like, oh, like he's focused now. Like I really want. I wonder if now like I think we've always said like Cerrone's talent has always been there. To me, he's always been like a champion level talent. But like you watch certain fights and it just kind of seems like he has these like mental lapses sometimes where like he gets in a big moment and he severely underperforms. And I think this is going to be the last time we see for real if he can get over like that mental hump, because it seems like he's at 155. He's turning around the young guys. I think this is gonna be the last like hoorah. We'll get to see if, cause I don't know who he gets next after this, but I think he inserts himself in a pretty big fight. He might not be too far from a title shot, because the way the UFC works now, it's not, who cares about rankings?
Right.
Those aren't real.
Earn and deserve.
If you're exciting, right? if you put on exciting fights, and especially if you're out here finishing people, you're going to get a title shot. And everybody loves Cerrone. He's a fan favorite. He puts on exciting fights pretty much night in and night out anytime he's in there. So I think we might see this. I think this might be the last hoorah to see if final form Cerrone at 155 is really going to make a run, because he's out here. He's killing it, man. He looked like that was a man who was not. He just went like, I'm not losing this fight. I'm not losing this fight. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, that was some force of nature type stuff. It was interesting. You talked about the knees. The first two times he threw that knee, he got blasted with some counters. So it was weird because I think he kept expecting Hernandez to shoot, but Hernandez was willing to trade with him. So I think that forced a reset where he's like, all right, well, if you're going to stand with me, I have more of my tools. I have more tools than you do. So we'll just see how long it takes before you start backing up. And I think like the third clean shot he landed when they were trading against the fence, Hernandez backed up. And then that knee started to land because Hernandez was now starting to panic shoot. And you don't want panic against Donald Cerrone, because I think he's one of those guys who, when you start freaking out, he gets excited, like, because he knows he's got you. So watching Cerrone time that and get the knee timing down, and as soon as he landed it, you could see it coming over and over. That was really cool. Hernandez had a body kick he kept throwing. And I wonder if the game plan was like, I wonder if it was like, Cerrone's weak to the body, so just go to the body. Because he was landing them, but he ate like 4 or 5 Cerrone shots to throw that one body kick. And that's not a trade-off you want to make. Donald Cerrone that was his best performance in years. Probably since Rick Story back in 2016. Like, that was amazing. That was high-level stuff. It just, his offensive versatility, the way he puts things together, the way he pressured Hernandez, tired Hernandez out. It's real easy to be the super aggressive bull if you're coming forward, but if you got to back up, fighting going backwards is a skill. Some guys have to really develop it. Hernandez didn't have it. And Cerrone sensed it. So now he had him on the back foot, and he carved him up. He looked like he had a lot of boo-boos, put it that way. And kudos to Daniel Cormier, who called that head kick like 2 minutes before it happened. Where he's like, the head kick's coming because Hernandez is starting to... Cerrone throws that head kick pretty consistently, and Hernandez is starting to dip. So he had kind of a good read on it. And Hernandez was so close to getting that hand up perfectly to block it. A little bit better. Got hit, ate it, went down, and Cerrone gets you down, you're done, man.
Yeah.
I wonder if Cerrone would he take that fight, or would he take the title fight, or would he take the McGregor fight?
I don't know. It depends. I mean, because I'm pretty sure at one point, Cerrone versus Khabib was supposed to have been a thing a couple years ago.
Yeah, and it was like April or July.
Yeah, and that fight ended up not happening. I mean, I don't know.
No. It was it was the same card where Jones was gonna fight Rumble, and I think Khabib pulled out, and John McDessie fought Cerrone. So, yeah, it was like May.
So the Conor fight would be obviously, So is that? Well, I don't know. Is that a money fight still?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. He's still. Oh yeah, I won't do that to Conor. He's still gonna bring in pay-per-view numbers. So yeah, the Conor fight. I mean, I think they're both. I guess it kind of depends on what he wants. Like, I think they're both good fights. Like, if you beat Conor, I think that's a really good name to kind of have on your resume. And boy, for Conor, if he lost that fight, that would be.
Oof. Yeah.
Oof.
Now I'm thinking about it. Like, that may.
That's a dangerous. That's a winnable fight for Conor, but like, I think Cerrone has skills that he can win that fight. I don't know if I would 100% pick him, but it's not out the like if he won, I wouldn't be shocked.
And recency bias, we just saw Cerrone blast out a top 15 lightweight in relatively short order.
Yeah, and the thing with Conor, I not to turn this a conversation about him, but I noticed, like, you watch a lot of his old highlights and you watch the Khabib fight, he looked bad. Like, he looked...
Well, in his defense, like, he took like 4 years off and took a really...
Hey, man, that's his fault.
I took a box.
He just looked really... Something looked really off about him. Like, he didn't... That normal, like, bravado.
Yeah, he was...
That normal, like... It wasn't there. Like, that air
shook,
of...
But...
He did.
Oh, wow.
Like, he looked...
You're going there, huh?
He did. Like, because if you watch a lot of his old highlights, like, even in... I think I can't remember how long ago when we started this podcast. 2017. I don't know if this is well documented, but, like, during Conor's come up, I wasn't, like, a huge fan. I didn't like the favoritism. But even when you would watch his fights, you could tell, like, this guy fights like he knows he's going to win. Like,
right.
As much as, like, I didn't want to admit and I didn't like how much he was winning, you watch him fight and it's like, yeah, this guy, he's very sure of himself. And in the Khabib fight, he wasn't that same guy. So I'm wondering, like, if he fights Cerrone, if we get that guy who's not too sure of himself.
Right. And, I mean, it's worth pointing out, Cerrone's wrestling a lot more now. So that's an added intrigue to that.
Yeah.
God, that's a really kind of tough fight to pick.
Yeah. Because I'm like you said, Conor could crack him. He definitely could. But, I mean, Khabib has great wrestling, but so does Cerrone has really good grappling, and then he has that threat of submissions, which is very an underrated part of his game. But
it's and again, to be fair, we're kind of suffering under some recency bias. Like, we just saw Cerrone blow a dude out, whereas we saw Conor kind of,
Yeah. Realistically, Conor could come back and flatline Cerrone, and then we have a whole different...
Right, like, we're in the moment.
Yeah. But as it stands, I would say, though, like, Cerrone, whichever direction he decides to go, I think he set himself up for a pretty good fight. Because I think it says something when you turn down, like, the young gun, the guy that I ain't gonna say you're supposed to lose to, but, we kind of think you're weathered a bit and you don't have as much in the tank. When you turn a guy like that away, I think that still shows, like, all right, he's not done yet. There's still something left in his tank. He can
different kind of performance, but very reminiscent of Frankie Edgar, Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah.
In terms of just, like, this is the setup fight, but you just kind of blow right through it.
Yeah. Go back to the gym, young man.
Yeah.
you have much.
And Hernandez, for what it's worth, looked good early, and then I think he just got kind of frazzled.
Yeah, I think when he realized it wasn't going the way he thought it was going to go, he was like, uh-oh.
He kind of did have a little bit of a panic to him.
Yeah, old man.
But he kept fighting, and, like, he had his moments. So I'm not gonna. I'm a little bit higher on Hernandez after this, but alas. All right.
But yeah, great performance from Cerrone.
Still got 6 more of these to go. Oh boy.
All right. Well, somebody's in there pretty fast. Next fight, I was really, really hyped for this. Joanne Calderwood I don't know if it's Arian or Arane. I don't know how they pronounce it weird during the.
They
I'm saying
pronounce it
Arian.
almost like Ariani, except with just Ariane. Whatever. Either way, Lipski.
Maybe it is Arian. Yeah.
Violence Queen.
Yeah, the Violence Queen. I was really hyped for this fight. I've always been a Calderwood fan. I'd heard Lipski's name floating around for like the last couple months, but I didn't like actually go to like watch her fights until probably about last week. And I watched about 4 of her fights, and I was like, "Oh my god, she, she okay, I'm sold."
She is in fact the Violence Queen.
Yeah, say no more. I'm all for this fight. Yeah, but see, I can't remember which fight it was I watched. I don't remember the other person's name, but in one of Lipski's fights, because I knew like I heard about like the striking pedigree. So my first question is, all right, how do you do on the ground when somebody gets you down? And like in one of the fights I saw from her, she actually did get taken down, and she seemed like pretty competent. And she ended up, I think she won that fight like via armbar or something like that. So like, all right, she knows what she's doing on the ground. Like she'll, because we've seen Joanne Calderwood at 125. She's like, she's a whole new
she really
beast
is
now.
a completely different fighter. It's insane.
Yeah, she is completely reinvented. So I was thinking for Lipski, like, all right, I've seen your ground game. You look, Calderwood has a ground game now. That's something clearly she's been working on. But I'm like, Lipski looks pretty competent. Fight starts. They start exchanging. Lipski's landing some really good combinations. I'm like, oh, Violence Queen. It's here it comes. And that was about it. That was like the last.
I think that and like a 3rd round takedown.
Yeah. Other than that, Calderwood did really good on the feet and definitely did well on the ground. Like we said, like Calderwood at 125 is like a complete different like animal. I mean, obviously the striking skills are still, still there, still present. She was able to, and the one time she ate a flurry, she was able to take Lipski shots, able to fire back her own. And then just the ground game, it was such a huge gap. And it wasn't me or like, to me, Calderwood seemed like bigger than her.
Yeah,
like
I would agree.
Like like physically, she just seemed like she was able to kind of bully her.
Yeah, I don't know if she was bigger or if she just fought bigger. Because she like physically, I don't know how much different they were, but she seemed like she was bigger.
Yeah, she was taking her down and just kind of like, now we're going to the ground. Because I say so. she just kind of gave her the big sister treatment. And
hell of an armbar too.
Yeah.
Or an armbar attempt.
Yeah. She put it on Lipski, man.
That's
like this was in Calderwood's last fight, it was like, okay, she made a lot of improvements. And then in this fight, I'm like, is she a title contender? Are we ready to, I mean, because this division's still kind of.
I mean, you were just talking about it. Nico Montano's phone's not ringing. So.
Yeah.
Her beeper hasn't gone off.
Yeah. Yeah, not at all. not at all. Like, I think Calderwood is now kind of, insert new challenger.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'd rather see Calderwood against Shevchenko than I versus Shevchenko.
100 million percent agree.
Especially if Calderwood can wrestle a little bit. Like that was a new improvement that I was very impressed with. And I think we forget that Calderwood came here from, she wasn't like a jiu-jitsu expert, but like she can snap off some arm bars. And I thought her rear naked choke wasn't too bad, her rear naked choke attempt. And once she figured out that Lipski was dangerous in the clinch, she kind of navigated the distance. Her jab was really good, very sharp, really good jab that threw Lipski's timing off every single time. Calderwood's a smarter fighter, and sometimes you're a little less exciting when you're a smarter fighter, but I thought that she was pretty exciting, and she brought she was like the whole package tonight. Like, this was the fighter who we had been hearing about. Like, if you watch like her SFL and her Invicta appearances, like, this is the fighter that we had been hyped up on. So,
right.
I'm all in on this Calderwood. Like, I don't know if she fights Shevchenko yet, but that fight can't be too far away. Who else would be in her way?
Right, yeah. Let's say
Paige.
that's not...
You're gonna do Paige and Joanne.
And get Paige killed.
What about young Jacek against Calderwood?
I'm down for that.
I mean,
that's a fun fight. It's kind of funny because I feel like Calderwood, the way she kind of treats fighters now, is the way like she used to lose fights. Like my striking's good, and then people get me down, and this is kind of a hole in my game that I haven't like quite figured out. And now she's figured it out, and she's like big sistering people now.
Always a big fan of personal growth between fighters, and like she's shown a lot of it.
Yeah, and I think what's really impressive is like we'll see fighters who like, all right, they're a good striker, but we know they need to work on their wrestling, and they'll get in a fight and try to work their wrestling, and it turns into like a boring clinch fest where they can't really get takedowns, and they're just kind of. But this wasn't like that. Like she's getting takedowns, she's advancing position, she's going for submission. It really looks like she like locked herself in a gym, like she went to the Dragon Ball Z hyperbolic time chamber, and just kind of just all right, we're grappling for like 4 years.
She watched a lot of GSP and was like, oh, that's not that hard now. No, I'm all in on Calderwood. I do think though, in the third round, I was a little concerned she got put on her back, and it didn't seem like she was doing a whole lot to get off of her back. I'm always a fan of fighters throwing damage from the bottom, but her little like hammer fists weren't really doing much. So that was a little concerning because, you know, Shevchenko's very big and very strong for 125, and I think she could take Joanne down, and then what are you going to do? So that needs to be improved, but what a performance. And like, again, I don't see anybody who's like in her way for a title shot. Although I'll ask you this. If it's Shevchenko who flamed out, well, didn't flame out, but if it's Shevchenko who couldn't get the job done at 135 against Joanne Calderwood, who lost multiple times at 115, does that diminish 125 any?
I don't know. It's hard to.
Now, again, granted, I say this with Jessica I, who lost like 7 fights in a row getting a title shot, but still, I think it's worth discussing.
I mean, I guess I kind of give this division the benefit of the doubt because it's still so new. So, like, when I know, like, these first couple of, like, title defenses and a lot of these matches in general, like, it's probably going to be some wacky stuff going on.
Some wacky
because
stuff.
everything just kind of has to, like, the chip still got to fall in place.
Right.
And at least it's better than featherweight where, like, at least there are some bodies who are at least.
Oh yeah, like you have Mark Hominick and Kenny Florian and. No, I'm with you. I understand your point. I think your point's valid. Just wanted to suggest.
I'll give them. And I think with Shevchenko, I think like her skill set's so good that I can't really. I can see that how you're saying. Like people might look at the division as a whole. It's kind of like, oh, maybe these are just like the outcasts who couldn't.
The great value bantamweights and the great value.
Right. But then my argument would be, well, at least for bantamweight, I mean, look at bantamweight.
That's a good point.
Do we really care about, you know?
Oh, man. He's going to get Andy-Cole all mad when he hears this. You're talking bad about bantamweight. He's not going to take this.
You know, it's kind of...
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It
is. No, it's kind of is what it is. Bantamweight's just kind of... It was exciting at one point, and then it fizzled out so quick.
Well, that's what happens when
Nunez came and killed everybody.
That's what happens when you don't invest. You don't invest in the division. Get some new talent in there. I'm cool with like you gotta whoever's available is who's available. You want to build this division up. You gotta have fighters fighting. So if it's just a bunch of quote unquote failed strawweights and bantamweights, then I think we'll suck it up.
Yeah. And shout out to Calderwood who has like the nicest voice ever.
Okay, well, who has the worst then? You remember Francis Carmone?
Why was I randomly thinking about him the other day? Like, is he still fighting?
Dude, I don't know why you're thinking about Francis Carmone.
because at one point, I think it's because he trained with GSP, so I just had like the bias. I was like, oh man, he's gonna be great. He started off okay, and then
I'm trying to think of who
I
has
know
the
what happened.
worst voice, like the most horrifying. Anthony Martin, sounds like he ate glass and
I don't like Joe Warren's voice.
is a little whiny.
Yeah, I don't like his
I'm
voice.
trying to think of who has the worst though. Yoel Romero's got to be in the conversation.
His voice is funny to me. I don't think of his as
Well, I
bad.
just like I think it's 'cause he's always yelling. No matter what he's saying, it always comes out like a yell. Trying to think.
You know who's voice for me? Shout outs to One Championship. They had a card today that was actually pretty good. One of their announcers, not Chavello, that other guy, his voice, it's nails on a chalkboard for me. I don't know his
Who
name.
has the voice? Karen Bryan has that effect on me.
I didn't know a lot of people don't like her.
I don't. It's not that I don't like her. It's just she has a like. I think she. Look, there's no doubt Karen Bryan loves MMA, and like she's super passionate about the sport. But like she has that kind of a voice, that kind of a and I think it's because she sounded like a teacher I had in like fourth grade. No, a teacher I had in fourth grade who like made me cry. So maybe I just have a subconscious beef. So
She does have kind of that teacher voice. I can see that.
guidance counselor voice.
Yeah, I can see that. She has that kind of that voice. Like if you didn't show me her face and I just heard her voice and you made me guess her profession, she's an instructor of some sort.
And Gunnar?
Telling some. I don't remember what he sounds like.
He's got like the deepest, scariest voice, but he's like the nicest guy ever. So who's another guy?
Calderwood just sounds like she could read you a very nice bedtime story. Like if you were having a bad day, she could read you like a little children's book, and you just go right.
I don't know how to take that. I don't know how to take that at 3.
I don't mean that in a
3:36
weird kind
a.m.
of way.
I think Daniel Cormier was trying to think of a compliment too, and he was like, "You want to take her to the coffee shop," which is an old man thing to say. You want to?
Let's move on.
I'm just trying to figure out. I don't know how we got here. You brought us here.
I don't know either. We're moving on to 205 of all things. Alonzo
Against Ariel Helwani.
But yeah, this is Ariel Helwani. If he hit the, I can't even say hit the gym because Vinicius isn't really shredded like that. If he grew,
he looks like Ariel Helwani to me. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but he looks like a creator wrestler, Ariel Helwani.
Alonzo Menifield, Vinicius Moreira. I ain't gonna lie, I don't remember a lot of this fight other than thinking, like in the beginning, Alonzo was just throwing a lot of bombs, and I was like, oh boy, he's gonna punch himself out and lose a fight that he should win. But nope, that didn't happen.
I just remember them walking like to the center of the cage after they do like let's fight, and I was like, oh my god, Moreira looks like he looks like he's got broken knees. Like compared to Menifield's pure speed, this was a tough dad. This was a tough dad who went on a vacation and went up to the 205.
Oh man, yeah, I don't remember how this fight ended. I just remember a lot of punches until somebody wasn't moving anymore.
Moreira threw like a spinning back kick, but it was so slow that Menifield was able to just step back and punch him after he landed.
Oh, yes.
So it was like it was actually unfair. It's like if somebody was lagging in a video game.
Listen, man, if you're at 205, don't throw spin and stuff. Like, unless you're John Jones. Rest of you guys.
Well, Gus can get away with it. But like those are.
But you have to have he didn't even have any speed with it. Like it was like we all knew what was happening. Like.
You ever play? Like a video game on lag. You ever play like a UFC fighting game and then the dude's like just gassed out because you just threw a whole bunch of like wacky shit, so he's moving in slow motion.
Gassed out and your connection is 2 bars.
Gassed out, your connection has 2 bars. Someone else is using it to stream Netflix.
And that's the worst kind of punch to get hit with because you're not even fully facing your opponent and then a right hand just
Bumps you.
in your peripheral you just see a right hand just
you don't know who hit you, and it's not like the UFC security can keep guys out of the cage. You could have got hit by Zubair Tuhogov jumped in there to get you.
Yeah. But yeah, poor Vinicius, aka Ariel, when he takes the Mario mushroom. Yeah, he didn't make it. He didn't
They
make
put
it.
this fight together, and I wonder if it was supposed to be a showcase fight for Menefield, or if they thought, like, Vinicius can get him down. He's got a shot.
I feel like it was for Menefield because I feel like they are trying to showcase the Contender Series
Right.
guys.
Well, the other guy was from the Brazilian Contender Series.
Oh.
The same. Can you believe that? The same show that gave us Johnny Walker gave us this guy. It's two completely different athletes in the same division.
Where they find you at?
Another muck trying to Muck's the Pokemon, right? Who's like the big sewage monster. Okay, I will make sure. He was Muck, and then he got hit and turned to Drowsy. And then it was all over. And good stoppage by the referee, by the way. Because do you remember the stoppage or no? You could be honest at this point.
Okay. I don't.
So Menefield hits him with that punch. Vinicius goes down. Menefield's landing some ground and pound, some really good ground and pound. And he wasn't out, but he was definitely not defending himself. And the referee jumped in and stopped it pretty much before it got ugly. So, good ref in there.
Shout out to Contender Series guys. Doing, well, all right, not all of them did.
Texas Contender Series guys are showing up big.
Yeah, 2-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in that gym, but it's working.
Fortis MMA, a lot of credit deserved to those guys.
Yeah, keep it going. So, shout out to Alonzo Menefield, TKO and Vinicius Moreira. Next fight,
and just real
out
quick, if you take chances on 205ers, you might get a guy like this. So sign a couple less 155ers and start collecting those big dudes.
Yeah, shout out to 205 for not like ruining this
Oh
card.
no, for sure they had two really good fights.
Yeah, they showed up. Old man Glover, he came back and Menefield just kept throwing punches to the other guy.
I'm just imagining the quote unquote senior showdown, and like Alonzo Menefield showing up like with his hot rod, just to like rev it on the lawn. This is the worst. This is the worst like divisional breakdown ever. Menefield shows up with an iPhone. They're all blown away. They have no fucking idea what it is.
Oh man, senior showdown. Oh, that's
Corey Sandhagen's really good.
He is. Yeah, man. Corey Sandhagen. I'm kind of mad because this fight was originally supposed to be Sandhagen versus That would have been all kinds of violence. But I watched Sandhagen fight in LFA. And he was nothing but chaos in LFA, and it is just continued in the UFC, and it's just really fun to watch. Dude, the dude is just, I don't even know how to, he's just really fun to watch. Just good array of strikes, nice, he was throwing a lot of good body shots. And props to Mario, because he took this fight on, like, late notice. He was like the third opponent for this fight.
He really was,
right? Yeah, so, props to him. Imagine he probably, I don't know what kind of shape he was in. Maybe had to cut weight early, but you're going against Sandhagen, who, name-wise is like a relative unknown to, I guess, like the average audience. But if you've been watching Sandhagen fight, this dude's an animal, man. He's really, really, really fun to watch. Just another one of those guys who's kind of just always active, whether it's striking, you're on the ground, he's throwing up submissions. He's doing everything he can to win a fight. He's never not in your face. And he gave Mario pretty much all he could handle. And he got Mario on the armbar. And is he 2-0?
3-0 in the UFC.
No, 2-0.
He beat Austin Arnett, and then he beat what's his name? Not Ildemar Alcantara, Yuri Alcantara. And now this dude. We have a Mario and a Luigi in the UFC, by the way. They do not fight in the same weight class, otherwise I would really push for that.
I'm always on Team Luigi.
Oh, wow, one of those guys.
Always on Team Luigi. But yeah, Corey Sandhagen, man, bantamweight is another. It's becoming another one of those divisions where, like, even outside of the top 10, there's some beasts running around. There's some guys you don't want that problem with, and I think he's one of those guys. Well, he's turning into one of those guys if he isn't already.
Just a really freakishly good athlete too. Like, he moves really well. He was pulling off some Dominic Cruz, TJ Dillashaw style, like stutter steps to get inside, land to the body, and then throw the leg kick. Like, he was putting some good stuff together. And on the ground, he was really good. I think the finish was like Batista went for like a slam, and he like snuck out and grabbed the arm, and then it turned into like a bunch of chain submissions. Like, I can't remember off the top of my head. It is like 3 a.m., guys. So the intricacies of the takedowns of the like third fight of the night are beginning to miss.
Right.
But I do remember, like, I remember being really impressed with Batista, and then being really impressed with Sandhagen because he's just freakishly good. Like, one of those dudes who they sign who did make the Contender Series, so they don't get a lot of publicity and they don't get a lot of hype. And then he just kind of goes off. And watching him is so much fun. I'm a big Sandhagen fan.
And he knows how to use his frame because he's a very
Absolutely.
Yeah, kind of a lanky. He's a problem to deal with. Like, you look at his frame and his skill set, and he knows how to just to make it all work.
And like we talked, like, you want to see prospects get tested. And, like, this is the second fight in a row where he's been in a few weird spots, and he just is so calm. Like, you can't teach that kind of poise. That's like Brian Ortega level poise. So,
yeah,
big thumbs up. And what a way to start off the card too, like the ESPN card. So, everybody gets a thumbs up there.
Definitely big shout outs to Corey Sandhagen. That's why I say, man, like, watch these other organizations. That's why I love LFA so much. Like, a lot of their guys, not all of them, really, like, maybe they won't come over and be champ, but they send a lot of quality fighters to the UFC or whatever organization that those fighters go to.
There's no excuse to be, and I say this as somebody who doesn't keep up with every organization, there's really no excuse to be uneducated, because, like, every organization is at your fingertips. So if you want to see somebody before they get to the UFC, they're gonna be out there for you to see them. So don't be surprised.
So if you got Access TV, watch LFA, man. And they put on a lot of cards. They put on a lot of cards.
Yeah, like once a week, seemingly.
There's always somebody getting punched.
And or kicked.
at least once a week. Yeah, or kicked. But yeah, props to Corey Sandhagen, man. Dude is awesome, and he just continues to impress. And moving on to the ESPN Plus early prelims, Dennis Bermudez versus Tay Edwards. Bermudez comes up to lightweight, and he puts in some work. Tay had a decent first round from what I remember. But in that second and third, man, Bermudez he just worked him. Like, Bermudez, man, dude is just relentless with takedowns. Another one of those, like, kind of pressure guys. He's kind of always in your face, not really letting you breathe. And there was a point in this fight, I can't remember if it was the second or third round, where Tay was trying to get him to, like, meet in the middle of the cage. And he's trying to, like, motion him over, but you can look at his body language, like, dude, you're completely good.
Yeah, no, like he was like totally out of options.
Yeah, he just was trying to fish for a knockout that just wasn't happening. But good on Bermudez, man. Like, Edwards was a pretty hyped up prospect. He has a lot of, I think he has a lot of talent, but obviously Bermudez, like, another guy, he's a vet, man. He's been in there with the best of them. He's had a lot of great fights, very well rounded. Not somebody you're about to just go in and get an easy win out of.
A step too far for T. Edwards.
Yeah. That was a step too far, and Bermudez just kind of took him down and beat him up and just kind of dominated him, especially in the latter half of that fight. And then Bermudez retires at the end. Decides to hang up the gloves, gives a pretty emotional speech, about retiring. I think he had an uncle who's fighting cancer. So, best of luck to him. But good to see him go out on a win and go out on his terms. And I'm always happy to see fighters, whether they win or lose, like, you retire still looking like you're in good form, like not looking like an old guy. I'm not even gonna bring that up, but.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
I'll rant for another 30 minutes.
What fight was it?
That I don't. You know what?
I'm not gonna
move on.
tell. What fight was it? What fight?
Let's don't be Chuck.
Was it the Chuck Tito? There we go. Chuck and Tito.
Yeah, don't retire like Chuck. But yeah, he left on his own terms. So great performance on him. Nice way to just a dominant win to end your career out.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let me get this out of there. Okay. No, well, I'm tired. I'm a little tired, a little fatigued. I wasted all that energy talking myself into a circle about Greg Hardy that I should have saved some for T. Edwards, Dennis Bermudez. No, seriously, like I was T. Edwards. I really like him, like as an athlete, but I feel like this is the second fight in a row where I've seen him struggle to adapt once somebody figures out something that's going to work. And like he was doing really well with the uppercut. You know, if you got a shorter opponent, throw that uppercut out there. Bermudez plants hard, comes forward a lot, so you can land it, and he did. That's how he hurt him the first time. He hurt him with an uppercut and then dropped him with something over the top. As soon as Bermudez got the takedown, Edwards like relented, and so I think that gave Bermudez reason to believe that if he could take that shot, if he could get out of the way of the uppercut, he was going to get him down repeatedly. And he had no problem getting him down repeatedly, which is weird because you would assume that Edwards is a good athlete. He's got some explosive ability. He'd be able to get back up to his feet. Never could. And Bermudez just basically took him down at will. Cormier was calling out when the takedowns were going to come, and sure enough, they would come immediately after. So it was a very impressive performance by Dennis Bermudez, and then he retires, which good, you know, like he had some performances where I think everybody kind of thought he would have won. Like did anybody have him losing to Rick Glenn in the fight that he lost to Rick Glenn? I don't think anybody did. So I still think Bermudez has more to give, but if he wants to retire, then that's totally acceptable. T. Edwards, I kind of feel like T. Edwards is weird because you probably cut him, except somebody else would sign him, and if he gets it in a different organization, you just probably lost the top 15 fighter, I think, in terms of just pure talent. So I don't know what you do with him. Do you give him like a soft touch? But I kind of feel like they tried to, because Bermudez was coming off multiple losses and going up a weight class. I don't know what you do with T. Edwards, but
I will say at lightweight there aren't a lot of soft.
Yeah, like they gave him like Dan Maj, who I think was like 7-4. It turns out Maj is fucking amazing, but like they've tried to kind of soft toss him, and it ain't working. So he may need to go back to the regionals.
Yeah, hard knock life.
It really is. Like if he was a 185er or a 205er, like he's getting 5 chances. But you're a lightweight, and you know that's the worst division to be in if you're not really, really, really good yet.
But yeah, shout out to Bermudez. You know, best of luck to him and you know, future endeavors. I feel like we'll see him again.
I hope so. Because like if he gets released, Bellator should sign him. He's good enough to be on their prelims or to take up one of their main card spots on some of these like Thackerville cards. So.
Yeah, like we said, it's not like...
I mean, well, they hold shows there.
Yeah, they hit those random...
How dare you disrespect the people of Thackerville, Oklahoma?
Oh, man. Next fight. Oh, I was really hyped for this
What
fight.
a fight this was.
Jeff Neal, Bilal Muhammad. I was so hyped for this fight, and then I was so hyped that, like, this fight was everything I thought it was going to be and more. Kind of a shame, I think, that this was on like an early prelim. I wish more people would have, you know, I wish more people would have been able to see this. Like, had it been on like maybe the ESPN portion of the card.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like this was a fight that was good enough to be on the ESPN Plus main card. You know?
Yeah, this was awesome, and I mean for people who've the narrative of this fight pretty much like Jeff Neal coming off the Frank Camacho KO, which he had kicked him to like another plane. Jeff Neal looked like a guy who, all right, we might need to keep an eye on him. And Bilal Muhammad, another I guess you could say relatively new face, but compared to Neil, has fought much tougher competition. And I think it's proven himself more against tougher competition. So it was a good test for both. Like for Neil to see if you can beat a guy who's kind of somewhat on your level, but I think he's kind of where you want to be. And for Bilal, it's like you got to fend off this guy who kind of looks like he might be a big deal. And man, this fight was amazing. Jeff Neal just really great pinpoint striking, doesn't waste a lot of movement, not out here flailing punches. Like I feel like he kind of throws when he knows he's gonna land. That left hand comes so fast, like, and there's no telegraphing. You just look up and it's just there, and either you dodge it or you get hit. He had a lot of nice body kicks. He didn't keep him going throughout the fight, but he landed a couple of good ones in the first round. It looked like he was kind of tagging Bilal up, but Bilal never went away, man. And if you've watched any of Bilal's fights, you kind of know, like, he's one of those really just tough, gritty guys, and he just would not go away. Neil would catch him with all kinds of combinations. By like the middle of the second round, Bilal's nose just like he got like slapped with a frying pan. His face and nose just look so busted up. But man, he never left the fight. Like Neil's landing these combinations, he rocks him, he stuns him, and you think Bilal Muhammad's about to go away. Nope, he gets back up. He finds a way to get back in the fight. I felt like he did start to get a bit comfortable in the latter half of the fight. Like he started to find his groove more. He started landing good strikes of his own, and he was firing back, and he was amounting some good offense. But I think Neil just kind of had just more in the repertoire, especially the striking repertoire. And shout outs to Neil. There was a moment where I thought the turning point of this fight for Bilal, I thought his biggest chance was to, work his takedowns, because we haven't seen much of Neil like off of his back. So that might have been an area he could exploit. There was a moment where Bilal went to take Neil down, and Neil for a good 15 seconds posted up on one arm and just refused to go down. Like he was holding himself up with one arm, and I feel like anybody else would have got taken down. And dude was just so strong that he just posted up on this one arm until he was just able to get back up. And once that happened, I was like, oh, he can fend off takedowns. Now Bilal might be in trouble. But no, it was an amazing fight that had back and forth moments, but I think Neil just had more moments where he was able to get off a lot more combinations, tag him, rock him a couple times. But it was an amazing fight. Go back, and this was one of the best fights on this card.
For sure.
Definitely go back and watch this one.
I would say number 3 at worst and number 2 at best behind Cerrone Hernandez. Jeff Neal offensively is so much fun to watch because it's never the same thing twice. Like he's got the ability to mix things up. His combinations can be varied. He still has a great left hand, but he kind of finishes with it differently sometimes. Like he doesn't do the same thing over and over. I loved his head kick is so quick. It's just so quick and so untelegraphed. We talk about naked kicks all the time and whatever. He throws it and it lands more often than not. And when it lands hard. I have no idea how Bilal Muhammad's head did not fall off. It was good. I mean, and Neil's, I'm trying to think of the proper terminology for it. Neil's patience and his composure is really, really good for a quote-unquote young fighter. Bilal Muhammad was able to land on him, and he never got discouraged. He never got out of his own game plan. And because you have those guys, Bilal Muhammad is going to wear on you. He's going to lean on you. He's going to put you against the fence. His clinch game is pretty good. And Neil was able to get out of that. He was able to just stay composed, not gas himself out panicking. I'm a big Jeff Neal fan. And I think we need to start talking about him among the rest of the dudes we have in this welterweight violence tournament that we're working on. because he's got a lot of tools. He's a special dude. Bilal Muhammad's unreal tough, and I don't know what Vicente Luque hit him with to put him down, but it must have been a sledgehammer.
Right, because he ate that head kick, and I thought Frank Camacho 2.0.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like he ate it flush, and then I'm like, he didn't like fall immediately. He just kind of stumbled, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, guy? Muhammad was a good test for Jeff Neal, but I do wonder. Bilal Muhammad is very limited athletically. I think I want to see Jeff Neal fight a guy who can do a bit more movement wise. So, but hey, that's why you do step ups, right?
Yep, and he's inserted himself in that
Fucking
conversation.
hell, him and Li Jingliang would be something.
Let's do it. Just violence.
Yeah, you
violence.
pick anybody, Lyman Good, whoever you want that's violent. Hook those two up.
Even though I don't want to see the Leech get head kicked, so
he would be the only person like to eat it and then just be totally okay with it.
Right. I like Lyman Good though, even though like he's not a big name. If Lyman Good, not to go on another side tangent, his UFC run has been like a lot better than what maybe I was giving him credit that I thought it would be.
Right.
He's looked really good in his fight. Even the one that he dropped to who did he lose to?
Zaleski.
He lost to somebody. Yeah. He still looked good in that fight,
man.
But Jeff Neal. Yeah, this dude, like I said, Fortis MMA. I don't know what they're doing in that gym. I don't know who they're training with. I don't know what secret camp or
Secret camp.
I don't know what's going on down there, but it is working.
And they all seem like they're improving, which is a really big deal. Like because you have certain gyms, you don't want to throw any names out there, but like one in Sacramento where it's like guys come in really hot and then what's so funny? I was saying you have certain gyms out there that like not just Team Alpha Male, but you could pick a random gym where it's like guys get really good and then they plateau really hard, and like these guys are still improving. So salute to them. They're putting together a hell of a run.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how far the Jeff Neal train can go. Because that head kick is gonna give anybody.
Sky's the limit, man.
Yeah. That dude is somebody to look out for. So shout out to Jeff Neal and Bilal for putting on an amazing fight. And the last fight of the evening, Chance Recounter versus Kyle Stewart. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember much to this fight other than like Chance getting a takedown.
Rear naked choke.
Yeah.
I have a hard... man, I'm so like... I don't know what term I would use for it, but I think I'm just exhausted, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yes.
Because I can't even think of a good Chance encounter joke. So, Chance, good for Chance encounter. He went through 3 different opponents. That sucks. That's so frustrating. And he got the finish, so I'm salute to him.
And obviously, I think they said in the broadcast, like I think this is his first time like having a full training, like he's doing this like full time now, like it's because I think he had like a job before.
That's insane because we're talking about Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal still works at like a.
Yeah, he's like a waiter or like a that's crazy. Jeff Neal needs to be doing that, and that's kind of scary though because it's like
he can get so much better if he's focused.
Right, he can get Somebody throw Jeff Neal like $80,000 and just like let him.
Do you imagine dividing your bill with Jeff Neal?
he sees you in the parking lot on the way out after his shift.
He just head kicks you when you go to.
You wake up and like 2 weeks have passed.
Just threw it.
You wake up like Robin Williams in Jim. What year is it?
They just throw a tarp over you at the back of whatever restaurant this is. You just sleep it off. Chance Encounter though, good for him. Like he's had a rough go of it. He got signed like on 4 days' notice and fought Bilal fucking Muhammad. Speaking of which, and like that's not easy. And he did not look good. And he came out and he handled business. So salute to him. And I also like his nickname. And the bad part is I can't even remember it. I think it's like the Black Eagle. Good for him. It's a good nickname.
Well, that was UFC on ESPN+1.
We made it.
We did. We made it. It is 4:04 in the morning.
Jesus Christ. And I got to shovel snow tomorrow because there's an ice storm outside.
Oh, Lord. This is what we do for you guys. We stayed up extra late.
And Cool owes me. I need, like, payment.
Cash App. But, no, this was a really fun card. Overall, I think this was a really good ESPN debut, just from production quality to everything seemed like it worked. And even though the Greg Hardy thing, whatever, that aside.
Yeah, perfect. If you remove the car crash that was the co-main event, if you just took Greg Hardy entirely out of the equation, this is probably one of the better UFC cards potentially ever. But you had the car crash, which was designed. They wanted him here on this card. If ESPN didn't want him, he wouldn't be on it. They wanted him here, and he probably got a lot of eyeballs, and hopefully those eyeballs stuck around to watch Henry Cejudo.
Right.
And that's the positive, I guess, of a very ugly negative situation.
Yeah, but other than that, it was a great card. Like, very, very entertaining and something for everybody. Just knockouts and subs, and it was a lot going on this card. Like we said, pretty much every fight was entertaining. And even the 205ers who we make fun of every podcast, they came out, they showed out. The flyweights showed that they need to still be here. And Joanne Calderwood's out here leveling up, and Donald Cerrone just hit a whole new level.
And pacing matters. This card felt so much shorter.
Yeah. So congrats, man. Good job on the UFC kicking off the year with a nice card, giving us some good violence to kick off 2019
in style.
Yeah. So real quick before we leave, parting shots and shout outs. I don't have any shots.
I guess me for like that whole Greg Hardy, like that was like a pain to speak through. So I guess I spanked myself on the wrist for not thinking out my thoughts a little clearer. I'm my harshest critic, folks, because Anna Cole's not here to yell at me. If he was Anna Cole, parting shot to Anna Cole for not being here. Stokes, you too. It's only like one where you're at. I don't know where you're at, buddy. No, like all in all, this is a great card. For the most part, the week was the real world. There was too many people to give parting shots to in the real world. So, if the worst we got was like a small blip on an otherwise good night, then I got nobody to poke fingers at. So all's well, I guess, right?
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? 2019 is not off to the worst start ever, so we'll survive in MMA land.
Yeah, I got two quick shout outs. First shout out goes to Francis Ngannou. I read a story about he actually opened up the first of its kind MMA and combat sports gym in his native country of Cameroon. So that's awesome. That all those people up there will have that opportunity to have a gym to work at. I think it'll be like, I think he said it's like MMA and boxing. Either way, like there'll be like an official gym up there, which is something they, prior to him, his rise to stardom, so to speak, like they haven't had. So that's just awesome on Ngannou for being able to give back to where he came from and making a positive impact. So shout outs to him. That was an awesome story. And shout outs to Danny Trejo, who's gonna be a special ring announcer for Karate Combat.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah, on their Hollywood card on January 24th. So we're recording this, well, it's the 20th now. By the time you guys hear this, it'll probably be 21st or 22nd. So on January 24th, if you want to hear Danny Trejo commentate on Karate Combat, you should watch that. I'm definitely watching that.
One person. One more thing. What is the opposite of the parting shot? I just totally forgot.
Oh, hold up. One more shout out.
Oh, shout out. Okay, I got one. Go ahead, you go.
Oh,
go ahead, you
go. Shout outs to Yosuke Tsuruta, who defeated Joshua Pacio for the strawweight title in 1FC. Haven't had I can't remember the last Japanese MMA champ. And one of the big three organizations. He's the first one I can think of.
I hope Ryzen has a few.
Well, yeah. All right, yeah.
I was hoping. I hope Ryzen has fun.
But shout outs to him. I watched. I didn't get a chance to catch all of the one card because I was at work, and I didn't even catch the main event in full. I just kind of saw it in spurts. But it looked like a really fun fight. But yeah, shout out to him because he took the belt from Pacio. And I always root for Japanese fighters. So Japanese guy winning the world title, I'm all for it. So shout out to him.
Concur.
And that's all I
I guess my only shout out would be to Alvin Kamara. Apparently, I just found this out like recently. I don't know if it's been widely reported, but like 1 week or 1 day of the season, he works like a blue collar job, like in the city. And
So I was holding my phone and I dropped
Okay.
it. And I hit the airplane button.
all right, I was about to say, if you're about to tell me that we weren't recording,
No, I hit the airplane button and I messed up my internet
all right,
connection.
are we still on?
Sorry, you. Yeah, I guess.
Jesus
I'll
Christ.
edit it some funky way.
Jesus.
But you were in the middle of a shout.
No, just Alvin Kamara. He shit. How do I? I'm trying to plug my laptop in that's dying. He works a blue collar job like every week of the season, and he was a garbage man this week, which I thought was pretty cool. So that was my shout out.
There you go. Shout out to Alvin
Are we
Kamara.
still doing this?
We are. Yeah, I never disconnected the call.
Perfect.
So sorry, you guys probably heard some funky edit for that because I was a lame and I dropped my phone and I hit a button on my laptop that I should.
It is
have
4 a.m.
because I dropped my phone. Yeah, it is 4 a.m. So with that being said, thank you, Joey, for filling in for this episode. I didn't want to come here and talk to myself
That's right.
for like it would have been kind of lame. So thank you for joining me, and thank you guys for listening, man. Please, post the episode, repost, share with a friend, tag a friend, all that good stuff,
Yep.
man. I want to help the podcast grow in 2019, and I'll need you guys' help. So, just share with anybody you know who's a fight fan, because there'll be plenty of fights to talk about this year.
Yep.
So we always have content, never a lack of fights going on. But yeah, man, it's 4 a.m, so we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. So as always, man, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be
Jesus Christ.
we will be there to talk about it. Share this podcast with a friend and be safe. Have a good 2019.
Yep.
And until next time, we will catch you guys later.
Goodbye.